Whataburger Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Yeomans, Zach Wolchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Heckma Harrison.
Back here from Whataburger Friday Night Stars as we are back. It's week 8 of the Texas high school football season.
What
How
a
about
lick.
that? Allen fumble recovery. McGee gets on top of it. How about that for Allen? They're up big on Jesuit in one of the top games of the night. Coppell, Ryan Walker, meet Anthony Black in the back of the end zone. That's a pretty impressive catch.
That was a snag.
How about this? A muff punt by Arlington. Martin hits the back of a player.
Peter!
And then Arlington jumps up on top of it. We've got a close one from UTA in that one. Trinity, we've talked about the defense plenty of times on this show. They show up again on an interception. Trinity up currently on the high-powered Weatherford offense in that one. And then Heritage, how about this? Kyle Bradford over the top of the
Beautiful.
Centennial
That's beautiful.
defense. What a play.
Sick.
Heritage leads by 2 at the moment over Centennial. We've got ourselves a barn burner in the third quarter across the hallway at the Ford Center. We're live from the Star in Frisco. Kyle Yeomans, Zach Wolchuk, Heckma Harrison, and then filling in for Eric Chiafalo, it's Guy Frazier on to my right. And boys, we've got a lot of games to talk to, and kind of the first, at least the first look at some of these games, you said, where was the offense? I mean, there are a lot of defensive ball games. Specifically, I mean, you look at Trinity and Weatherford. That's a Trinity or a Weatherford offense that's put up plenty of points throughout 2019. Well, starting off this one, they're being shut out at for the majority of that one. How about Frisco Lone Star, boys? I mean, we're going to talk about them here in a minute with the film session, but
Better hurry up.
they're losing. They're losing currently
Those Colony
17
Cougars,
to 13.
baby, flexing their muscles.
What did you? I wish Eric was here. Eric, what did you say? They slept on.
They were a sleeper, a sleeping giant.
Though they're not anymore.
People are now
They're
finally
away.
realizing that the Colony Cougars are here to stay.
Yeah, I would agree.
Their defense is actually playing some good football for a change. That's rare.
I mean, whenever you can hold that Frisco Lone Star offense to 13 points throughout the first 2.5 quarters, you're doing yourself some favors. Arlington Martin leading Arlington at the moment. I mean, that's an Arlington squad that a lot of people were very high on, and at least at the moment, it looks like Arlington Martin is the superior team.
Cedar Hill and Lake Ridge
I was
tied at
about to say,
14.
yes,
Right?
Lake Ridge
Yeah,
showing up.
they're hanging in there.
You talk about a desperate team. That's Lake Ridge right now.
No
we
question.
looked at
Gotta
their
be.
schedule. We looked at the district standings, the district of doom, and to 7-6A, and all of a sudden you're saying, uh-oh, does Lake Ridge have enough to make the playoffs?
Same thing with Coppell on the road against Marcus. That one also tied up at 7 apiece. Not a lot of offense there, and we were praising Flower Mound Marcus and Garrett Nussmeyer and what he's been doing there with the Marauders, and they've kind of been building some traction. But so far, Coppell, and you're right, Kyle. You know, Coppell, Lake Ridge, two teams that were very desperate. That Keller Central game as well between two squads in Northwest Eden that really needed a victory there. So desperation mode galore. Mansfield Summit kind of falls in that category, playing SGP, and they were up 14-0. I think SGP finally just scored to cut that deficit in half, make it 14-7, and then Hebron, a team that probably needs it a little bit more than Flower Mound. Flower Mound undefeated within that district, but the Hawks have come to play, and they're leading Flower Mound and really playing very well defensively against that high-powered offense of the Jags.
Yeah, 17-11 is that score right now for Hebron and Flower Mound with 4:13 left in the third quarter. Birdville putting up some points.
41-7.
Yeah, how about that over Denton? And talking about putting up points, we talked with Joe Willis, head coach of Colleyville Heritage. They haven't stopped scoring since we stopped talking to them. 77-6 is the score in that one, and there's still almost 4 minutes left in the third quarter.
Who they have this week?
Oral Turner.
Oral
Yeah.
Turner. Yeah.
So that's a pretty.
And a little love for Eric Chiafalo. His Justin Northwest guys are up 42-7 over a Fort Worth school.
Is it Fort Worth
Polytechnic,
Polytechnic?
Yes,
The Parrots.
The Parrots.
The orange and black. Baby.
Yeah, he
Perot's.
loves to talk about the Fort Worth Polytechnics of the world there, and how a win for Justin Northwest is not that impressive if they're beating up on the Polytechnics.
Hey, we always love it
Poly.
when the fighting Eric Chiafalos get their win.
Yes,
Especially
those
on a day like
Northwest
today.
Texans.
When
today.
Eric needs a win for
They
his
needed it.
Texans.
They're pulling it out for you at Chi.
You know what? The Dolphins are going to get a win this week as well.
Not
That
happening.
would upset
Are you
him.
serious?
He is hoping
What's
for
the matter with
0-16.
you?
He's looking for Joe Burrow time.
Yeah, well, you know what? He could probably stand a win and get Joe Burrow.
Stop. I don't. Yeah.
You don't think so? I don't think he's gonna be the
I
number
think
one
so,
pick.
but we're not talking NFL. We're talking.
We're
high level
auditioning to
football.
be the new Cowboys podcast.
Yeah, that'll come.
If you
Anyways,
need help.
Yeah. By the way, Frisco takes the lead over the Colony, 20-17.
Hey, don't ruin it.
A 3-yard touchdown run. What?
Lone Star
Don't
South.
ruin it.
Were you
He's waiting for
planning
the
to
graphic.
surprise everybody?
I was going to pull that one out. Never mind. You did it already.
Well, you're going to have plenty of time to talk about Lone Star coming up here in the next couple of minutes.
Hey, you got to go play on the board and everything.
Yeah.
I did. I loved it. I touched it more.
I'm jealous.
The Lone Star with the lead in that one currently. So we'll talk about the Rangers coming up here in a little bit. But overall, over the course of at least week 8 at the moment, what's the most surprising thing to you right now? I mean, even Keller Central's up 17-7. Parish Episcopal blowing out Bishop Lynch. Is there anything that really stands out to you here this week?
I think it was the lack of points in the first half of a lot of these games. You had a bunch of 7-0, 3-0, 7-3, 14-3 type scores. So, we're in week 8 and a little bit of sputtering on the offense side of the ball for a lot of these schools and programs tonight.
Yeah, was I wrong or not about Allen, man? 44-17 over Jesuit. I don't think that there's a take the circle off of that upset alert.
I was just going to
erase
pretend
that
that you didn't say anything.
But
I thought Boyd was playing with Prosper for a while. At halftime,
Yeah.
I think it was 6-3 Prosper over Boyd. Now the Eagles have come out in the second half and have started to pull away a little bit. But I was worried about a possible. We talk about the Allen hangover all the time, but a Prosper team that was so up and confident, and then you get defeated the way that they did against Jesuit, and then to come back and really against a Boyd team that, no disrespect to them, they're kind of going through some growing pains this year. They should be better once they get some upperclassmen. They're a young football team, but really, you'd think that Prosper would handle Boyd pretty easily, especially at home. And for that game to be 6-3 at halftime, now Prosper, I think, is pulled away. They're up 23-3. But for a while, I was kind of looking at that and saying, man, that could be one of the games of the night if Boyd was able to hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and not looking like the case at the moment, but at least early on, that was something that you raised an eyebrow at, saying, hey, what's happening here with Prosper? Is it, like you said, is it the hangover from that loss to Jesuit, or is it something bigger? Now, one thing that surprised me, and I mentioned this just kind of in the open really quickly, Euless Trinity 12, Weatherford 0.
it's an ugly game.
That defense for Trinity has blanked Weatherford, who has averaged 52 points per game through their first 6 games of the year.
Yeah, well, you said it at the first beginning of the show. Were they going to be able to would Trinity lose twice? Mm-hmm. Not going to happen. After the loss to Haltom last week, you got to know that they were going to put together a game plan that was not going to give Weatherford any chances and that offense to score 50 points as they have been just pretty much rolling all season.
Just 23 yards rushing for Weatherford. For Weatherford
Let's go.
for the Kangaroos, and for
go.
Ken Seals at quarterback, a guy who'd been putting up just Madden-like numbers all year long. Just 11 of 18. He's got a pick. He's got under 130 yards passing. If Weatherford can't throw the football, they're in a lot of trouble. And I was excited to see, a high-powered, prolific offense go up against Trinity, but their defense has stepped up big for them. A big interception, as we saw in our top 5 plays there. They kind of swung momentum into the Trojans' favor. And much like, we talked about Jesuit, who kicked the field goal early.
Yeah.
They've turned over the ball as well. When you're going to play at Trinity on the road and Allen on the road, at South Lake Carroll, these premier high school football programs, if you're going to expect to go and beat them and you're kind of an underdog opponent like a Weatherford is, not to discredit the season they've had, but you get what I'm saying. You can't kick field goals, and you certainly can't turn the football over. And Weatherford is kind of really playing into what Trinity wants to do. And this is a Trojans football game. And you look at it there, 240 rushing yards. They don't have a lot of penalties. Weatherford can't really do much offensively. They've taken them out of their game plan. And Trinity is really back to playing that kind of Trojan football that we expected them last week against Haltom, but it just didn't show up.
And one thing that's kind of interesting is even with a 12-0 lead, in that ball game. I'm going to go to the tag board really quickly. This one getting started in the third quarter. How about this? Trinity to get the onside kick in the middle of that third quarter to start the ball game.
Boy, that's desperation by Weatherford.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Trinity, you got to recover it. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Josh Price out at that stadium currently. So,
I love it.
I mean, like you said, Weatherford, with that offense, even as high flying as it's been, you're still unable to kind of.
And the Trojans know possession is key in this one.
Well, and they have to do that because they're going to have to start trying to create some extra possessions for themselves. I mean, they only had 6 in the first half for their offense, and Ken Seals throws a pick on one. Then Trinity actually stopped him on 4th down on another one. So Trinity's just going to put the ball on the ground in the second half and just eat clock. So obviously Weatherford trying to create an extra possession that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, but it doesn't end up in their favor.
No.
Trinity able to recover it.
Disaster.
And then I think they just scored because I just got an update from Joshua Price. I think Trinity might have just scored to start the second half. We'll hit that game coming up in a little bit. We're going to take a quick break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. When we come back, while Frisco Lone Star is winning their football game against the Colony, Heckma, you and I are going to go across the hall. We're going to have another edition of Heckma's Film Room. We'll break down that Lone Star defense and what makes them so successful when we come back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
I'm Billy Martin. I'm an Executive Vice President with North Dallas Bank and Trust. It's about authentic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. At local banks like North Dallas, we give you personalized service that you just can't get at the big banks. Everything we do is driven by your best interest. We call it having a high YQ or U quotient.
Hey, I'm Jack. We started SeatGeek because we want fans to have a better, more transparent ticket buying experience. With SeatGeek, you can see the best deals and buy tickets, all with a price match guarantee. The only thing we can't guarantee is that your team will win. So use the code TICKETS20 at checkout for $20 off your first order.
It's game day. A day that should be spent in the living room, not the kitchen. So next game, you just worry about the score, because we've got the food covered. With hand-battered, cooked-to-order, always fresh, never, ever frozen chicken fingers, craveable cane sauce, crispy crinkle-cut fries, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Go Cowboys!
Welcome back into Friday Night Stars. Kyle Yeomans, Heckma Harrison, back in the film room for the second time this season. And last time we were in the film room, we looked at Frisco Lone Star and what made Frisco Lone Star very successful on the offensive side. Well, now let's take a look at the defense. And, of course, today they're taking on the Colony in what could be their final district test and going into the playoffs, maybe their final test of the regular season. Why is this Rangers team different than years past? And why are they going to be successful come playoff time?
Yeah, the thing about this team is their team speed. You look at Jalen Ford, Torrin Pittman, guys like that, extremely fast athletes, and these guys have awesome technique that they use on every play.
No doubt. And Torrin Pittman, we'll start with him. I mean, he's just an all-around athlete, somebody that college recruiters are getting extremely excited about in that secondary.
Yeah, this guy he's not committed to any universities yet that we know of, but this kid, you talk about a ball hawk, and his playmaking ability is amazing. On this goal line play right here, it's basically like an inverted wing T, but they have their goal line defense on. Roll it for me, Kent. And so when you see at the beginning of this play, this is, pretty much quarterback sneak all the way. Stop right there. And if you look right here, at this point, you have Jalen Ford right here, and here is our guy, Torrin Pittman. Now, if you look at it, Braylon Braxton already has a step on everybody, right? If you draw a line right here and say this is the starting line, he's got a step or two on everybody, and everybody's trying to get to the pile-on, which is up here. Run it for me, Kent. And so you see everybody take off here. Stop it right there. Even right here in this position, Torrin Pittman is already beating him to the outside. Now, this is all technique coaching. The defensive coaches are doing this all the time. As far as tracking that inside hip, he knows that if I can track that inside hip, I can beat him to the finish line, which is right there at the goal post. That's where he's trying to make it. Boom! And I mean, he puts a lick on him. If you could back it up a little bit for me, Kent, right there, what a shot he puts on Braylon Braxton right there at the goal line to stop him from scoring. But, man, that's just the thing that Torrin Pittman does. He is very explosive, very rangy, man, in open field, always tracking and doing the right things. You never see him out of position or leverage.
And even in this play specifically, I mean, you start off over on the right-hand side of the screen. That's where Torrin Pittman starts this play out. And being in the secondary, I mean, this is a guy who's a transformed linebacker.
Exactly.
Now that he's in the secondary, he's able to show off that athleticism.
Yeah, last year he had his hand in the ground, so you're talking about a D end, basically. But this is a play that he's showcasing his speed right here on this play. Again, the one thing I want to point out about the Lone Star defense is they're playing a 3-3-5. Unconventional defense. Rich Rodriguez started this defense. He's a father.
Charlie Strong runs
Exactly. He's a father of this defense. But basically what you're doing is you're getting pressure with these three guys and your three linebackers, and the rest of these guys are DBs, right? And so roll it for me, Kent. When this play starts, this is a pass automatically. Stop it right here. Now, the thing is that all of these guys that were in, if you could back it up just a little bit for me, all of these guys are staying in to block. So this receiver up here, go back to the start of the play. This guy right here already knows that he's running a go route. He didn't have any reads. He didn't have anything else but just foot on the gas, and I'm going. All right, Torrin Pittman right here is what we're looking at. So roll it for me, Kent. So literally no play action or anything like that. But boom, he gets it in the air, and stop it right there. Torrin Pittman, go back a little bit for me, Kent. Right there. If you go back to the beginning, I mean, Braylon Braxton kind of faked it a little bit of a ball fake there, but just enough to throw the defense off and the linebackers to bite, but the receiver's already gone. Torrin Pittman turns and runs with this guy. Now, in my day, this was a medicine ball because this be concussion protocol right here. But what Torrin Pittman does is awesome. He makes a play on the ball. I mean, he hits his head on the ball, basically. Roll it for me, Ken. Great play. Great play by a guy that hasn't committed to a university. You talk about speed, 6'4", 200 pounds, and can run like that. I mean, that's what makes Lone Star so dangerous, is because he's not the only guy like that on the defense.
And he's doing that against one of the area's top receivers. I mean, the receiver that he was covering in that last play was Keon Wafer for Independence, who has 13 touchdowns and is one of the top receivers in the entire DFW area, and he caught him immediately. However, for this Lone Star defense, it's not just Torrin Pittman who can get the job done. They have a cast of characters, including Alessio Rusalilo, who is one of the best linebackers that have kind of been a surprise throughout the course of the season so far.
Yeah, Rusalilo is a dog on this defense, one of the dogs on this defense. You talk about Jalen Ford. This guy has a motor, and he is all over the place, a sideline to sideline guy. Rusalilo has a broken thumb on his left hand, but you talk about a tackling machine. This Rusalilo is on this play right here specifically. His only responsibility is Braylon Braxton. Now, if Braylon Braxton gets to the
left or the right, gets on the outside, he's gone. Russililo knows that. And so what he's always doing is keeping himself in a position to be able to make the tackle. Roll it for me, Kent. So if you see him, like he's just standing there at the line of scrimmage, oh, he doesn't go anywhere, he's tracking him, stop right there. And the whole time what he's doing is he's on that inside hip. That's coaching right there. Not taking bad angles, not getting out here so the guy can cut back, things like that. And you see him doing that. Every guy for a Lone Star is always in great position to make a tackle, and Russililo is just another part of the cog in the wheel.
Step for step with Braylon Braxton, one of the most elusive quarterbacks in the entire state of Texas, and that was an impressive play from Russililo. So Lone Star, one of the top teams in the state, no doubt about it, have an opportunity to make a run for a state championship. That defense is a big reason. He's Heckma Harrison. I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll be back with more Whataburger Friday Night Stars after the break.
Billy Martin. I'm an executive vice president with North Dallas Bank and Trust. It's about authentic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. At local banks like North Dallas, we give you personalized service that you just can't get at the big banks. Everything we do is driven by your best interest. We call it having a high YQ or U quotient.
It's in all of us, and we won't hold it back. Not one little bit. Nope, we embrace it, letting it fuel our passions, pushing us deeper than we thought possible and keeping us curious. It's what sets us apart from the herd. It's how we come up with the ideas that make people say, why didn't I think of that? See, when you nurture the creativity and passion that's in all of us, you'll learn nothing is out of reach.
Ashley Home Store, the #1 furniture and mattress store in America. We have all the major mattress brands at a guaranteed low price. Plus, we have furniture for every room in the house and decorator accessories to make it yours. With multiple locations, personalized service from knowledgeable associates, and convenient finance plans to fit your budget. Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys. This is home.
Days are built on mornings, and Whataburger is built on burgers. Mornings, burgers. Morning burgers? Yeah, all right. Good thing there's a burger made just for breakfast, topped with breakfast. Good thing there's the new limited time breakfast burger at Whataburger.
Back here from the Star in Frisco, home to the world champion Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Zach is just loving it.
Hit him with the shoulders. Hit him with the shoulders. Hit him with the shoulders. Hit him with the shoulders.
There it is. Bringing some swag to the
This is the second part of the show.
Mortgage
This is
Studio.
what happens when the shoulders come out.
Hey.
You had some of that Tri-Tip Grill across the street at the Star.
I did. They're not a sponsor yet. I'm working on it. It was actually pretty darn good.
They were good.
It was pretty good.
I'm going to get Whataburger after the game, so.
I don't blame you. I probably will do that moving forward.
Oh, man. We've got plenty to talk about this week in terms of Texas high school football. By the way, great job, Heckma, breaking down that Lone Star defense.
Hey, you did a great job. I'm waiting for you to pick somebody other than Lone Star breakdown.
Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Attitude. Why you got an attitude?
Excuse me, sir.
Go
Sir.
ahead. Yes. What were you saying?
You did a great job, though, seriously. And Torrin Pittman, you had your eye on him dating back to last year.
Yeah.
And you called him right on, sir. He is a beast.
Thank you.
He is a stud.
Heckman's got an eye for that defensive talent.
That's what I do.
I'm the quarterback guru.
Yeah, you're the quarterback whisperer, and he's the defensive guru.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
You just kind of put us.
I drive the bus.
You drive the bus, and Guy over there is just all knowing.
He's all looks, is what it is.
No.
So we need somebody over to sit in that
Yeah,
chair.
there he
that's
is.
got
Look at that.
the beautiful looks.
Jeez.
The hair is on point tonight.
It's the glasses, dog.
It's the hipster glasses. Okay, let's go ahead and drive into these games. Week 8. Yeah, here we go. Arlington Martin and Arlington. This has been a dominant showing from the Warriors overall. 21-3 the score, and it hasn't necessarily been a pretty football game, to say the least.
That's how Martin likes it, right, boys? That's what we
No
talked
doubt.
about. And really, since Arlington went down the field and kicked a field goal right at the end of the half, in the second half, it's been all Martin and all Zach Mundell.
Chuck, I mean, come on.
The defense is rocking.
If you look at the stats, man, this is an ugly game. What?
That's Martin football, baby.
Mundell has 67 yards.
Yeah.
Stud.
And he's got 10 yards off of 10 rushing attempts.
You know what? It's not all about the stats, boys.
It's not.
You got to know how Arlington Martin plays, and this is their way. We're going to grind.
We
We're
talked
going to
about
play
it.
great defense. They forced short fields. Their defense comes up with timely turnovers. They had a big time safety on a ball that was snapped out of the end zone. There's that special teams for you again, stepping up. I'm all about it. You know, Alonzo Banks just got a 16-yard touchdown to put him up 21-3. Look at this. Just doink right off the back. And that was a possible momentum shifter for Arlington. That allowed them to put up that field goal that you'll see here right before the half. But, man, since then, it's been all Arlington Martin.
Yeah, I'm just really surprised. Chris Sims has 104 yards in this game. They only have 3 points. Chris Sims has all the rushing yards for him as well. I mean, Arlington just cannot manufacture any offense.
It's really surprising because it's not like they don't have some weapons on the outside. You know, they've got some decent receivers. Trey Cleveland comes to mind. Or did he graduate?
He graduated.
Maybe he did. Maybe I'm back in last year.
Yeah. Well, I do know
he
they-
was Jahari Rogers.
I was gonna
B.J.
say,
Rogers, though, on the ground. I
You
mean,
think
where's
they
B.J.
really
Rogers
missed
been?
Jahari that much, though, and all? I mean,
I think today they are.
Yeah.
They haven't up to this point. But, you know, and that's something that I know Eric and Heckma were big on was, look, if you start to get into a slump, do you go back to Jahari? And I think Chris Sims has earned that spot.
Eric's not here to defend himself.
I don't need Eric to defend himself.
What I want to say is the fact that I think we all were surprised when Mr. Everything, Jahari Rogers, went from playing full-time from quarterback to now full-time defense.
Oh, Mr. Free Ride. Here comes Florida with a big-time offer, and they say, we want you to play DB. We think it'd be in your best interest to play DB your senior year.
Sometimes what's got to do.
Sometimes it's just what you got to do.
Right.
It's a business. It's a business decision,
I wonder,
right,
though,
Dion?
if at some point, though, if this continues, if you don't throw him, like, even just at receiver.
I am surprised
just to let him make
or
some
even
plays.
special teams.
Yeah.
You know, I assume that he'd be a kick and a punt return option for you.
He has taken a snap at quarterback today.
Okay.
Now, that came back in the second quarter, right at the beginning of the second quarter. And then he also is so the first pass that he threw from the Arlington 33-yard line, incomplete. Turned around, took a second snap at quarterback, and then he got sacked for negative 16 yards.
It's tough to come in cold like that, right? You know, you haven't
a little
played the
bit.
position. Like, I wonder how many reps he's getting even in practice.
That's a good question. I mean, and all of a sudden it was 3rd and 26, and after that, Chris Sims came back in passing complete, and then start of the second quarter, it was a 3-and-out for Arlington. They gave the ball back to Arlington Martin. So, like you said, you're seeing them try and fit him in a little bit more, but it hasn't necessarily worked, and maybe they backed off from it.
Yeah, the Warriors are just a team I can't put my finger on, and the reason being is that
Well,
when you
they're
look,
good.
they are obviously, and they're playing team ball, and they can win any way you want. You look up, Zach Mundell has 300 yards passing. It's not that the kid can't pass; it's just that he has a good team around him. His defense, they're playing ball. Special teams, we talked about special teams being able to make a play. Obviously, special teams has played a role in that 21 points because the offense hadn't been doing it.
Offense hasn't been doing it, and I don't know, maybe something changes here over the next couple of moments in that ball game. Let's go to Birdville and Denton. This has been a Birdville squad that has kind of been hovering under the radar for a little bit. What are you laughing at over there, Guy?
I don't know.
What's
I
funny?
look over and guys just got a smirk on us.
I don't know.
55-7.
Holy
though,
cow. I got
Birdville.
an update I want to give you guys after we talk about this, but this is impressive, don't you think, Kyle?
Yeah, this is pretty impressive. 450 yards of total offense and 55-7 right now. I mean, this is. I know this has been a Denton team that's been up and down throughout the course of the year. They've had a big win, then they've been blown out, and this is kind of on the back end of the blowout again.
Yeah, it's upsetting for Denton High. The issue with them is they just can't throw the football consistently. And you credit Birdville defensively, but again, Stone Earl without Ladarius Mixon, he's not playing in this one. He's put on a show. 231 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's also got a rushing score. And Damari Walker, in place of Ladarius Mixon, continues to produce with 109 yards and a touchdown on the ground. So for Birdville, defensively, they've stepped up. They're playing a lot better. They smother a Denton running game that came in being pretty prolific. That was definitely their bread and butter. They haven't even rushed for 100 yards yet, and they took them out of their game plan, getting such a big lead, forcing them to throw. That's not something Davian Guajardo and that offense want to do at all. So for Birdville, they're just really looking, and they'll take it day by day. And we know that they've always said that they'll take it week by week, but it looks like they'll probably be undefeated in district play for that season finale game when they host the Denton Ryan Raiders, and they can only hope that if Ladarius Mixon's going to be healthy and right for a game, that is the game that they need him back if they want a chance to beat the Ryan Raiders, who are going for 50 straight regular season wins if they go 10-0 again this year.
Well, it looks like Birdville tonight's done a lot of their damage on big plays through the air. I mean, Stone is 11 for 21, but he's averaged 21 yards, a throw as far as completions go. And then you look at Carter Self and Gage Haskin and Jose Armstrong all averaging over 25 yards a reception. So that's pretty big damage, and obviously looks like maybe a little bit of a weakness on the Denton Bronco defense is the backside.
Yeah, I love what you said about Walker filling in for Mixon. 109 yards, it just leaves everything to imagination. If Mixon was actually playing with that 109, be a 209 because of how dynamic he is as a running back. But in Stone Earl we trust, and hopefully the last game of the season I will be picking Birdville again for the upset there. Chuckster.
Yeah, I hope you do as well.
It's one of the all-time great moments of this show's
It's
history.
a fantastic moment. We can go back and look at Twitter for the archives for that. But Stone Earl is a quarterback among this area, and I know we've got an embarrassment of riches at the position. When you look at the sophomores, Braden Locke and Quinn Ewers come to mind. We talked about Preston Stone earlier, Eli Stowers, who's had a great year. But Stone Earl as a guy, as a senior, has been absolutely outstanding this year and really should be getting a lot more appreciation because last year was kind of a run-heavy Birdville approach. This year, without Mixon, they've really relied on Stone Earl, and he's definitely come to perform every single week in and week out. It's been a model of consistency for the Birdville Hawks.
Yeah, and they continue to put up big numbers, and that's going to be an exciting football game, and we'll definitely hit that game whenever it comes. Now, we've got ourselves a little bit of a football game, and you said you wanted to give an update, Zach.
Yes, I did.
I believe this is. I think we're on the same page.
I don't think that we are.
Really?
Because this was not a little bit of a football game.
Off the page.
This is an off the page one. This was a scoreboard game, but it does relate to your coach speak, Heckma. And what you brought up earlier. They hadn't stopped scoring points, Colleyville Heritage.
Oh, no.
At 90 now?
They put up 84 points tonight. They beat R.L. Turner by a final. It's a final now, one of our first Friday finals, 84-6.
Wow.
84-6.
They had 84 going into the fourth quarter with a running clock.
I don't care who you're playing. I don't care what your record is. You put up 84 points in a high school football game or a football game period.
Impressive outing.
Very impressive.
It'd be interesting. Wow. They could have gotten the 90. They really could have.
If they didn't take their foot off the gas, they might have been able to put up 100.
I think I would agree with that completely. The way they were putting up points.
What is quite the football game, Mr. Yeomans?
Is that what? Okay, so yeah, you and I were not on the same page as much as I thought.
We know what he's talking about.
Coppell and
No.
the Cowboys.
No. We don't know anything.
I don't know anything at this point.
Flower Mound Marcus. 7-7 overtime.
Oh.
Going to overtime, of course, we saw the Anthony Black 3-yard pass that was caught by Ryan Walker. Ryan Walker playing every snap at quarterback for Coppell tonight, whereas Marcus scored in the third quarter with 4:02 left. Colin Sutherland, a 9-yard pass from Garrett Nussmeyer, made it 7-7. Now, Marcus gets the ball first to start the overtime period in a 7-7 ball game, which really, we looked at this and we kind of thought, hey, this is another Marcus win, that the Marauders would just kind of take care of business. Of course, they're riding high. 3 straight wins, including a big win over Hebron last week. Or it's 5 straight wins now, correct? Or 5 or 6. I can't remember exactly the number.
Who, for Marcus?
For Marcus.
It was 5
straight wins.
Game.
That's what I thought.
6 if they won.
Well, 7-7. Now, with that being said, in overtime, the Marcus Marauders have the football on the 13-yard line with a fresh set of downs. And
So
their
they got the ball
first
first?
possession, yes,
Okay.
correct. First possession of that first overtime period. We'll keep you updated on that one, but 7-all in that ball game.
Yeah,
Pretty close.
that's amazing because we were talking about the injury to their running back. That's obviously his replacement, Tyler Gainey, has only had about 48 yards in this game. So the running game for the Marauders is definitely hurting, and that's making the difference in this one.
Yeah, they're missing Tyson Edwards. I mean, 36 yards rushing for Marcus. Clearly, they're struggling. In Nussmeier, they're not able to put anything through the air. Coppell's secondary clearly playing well tonight.
Well, and we talked about before the game, Coppell struggling to win these close games, so this is another opportunity for them to kind of redeem themselves on that and maybe.
And a game they have to have.
They have to have it, and maybe they can sneak this one out in overtime.
They have neither team has eclipsed 200 yards total offense in this ball game, and then. You mentioned that Nussmeier they've relied on him with the lack of running game that Marcus has had.
36 times.
Exactly, and he's completed 22 of those passes. So overall, it's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, that puts them back to where they were last year because that's the way that Nussmeier had to play.
Now, Gainey just got it to the 1-yard line for Marcus. It is 2nd and goal from the 1. So it looks like Marcus will find their way on the board in that first overtime period. So we'll keep a close look on that one. Taking a quick look at Flower Mound and Hebron. 6-6A will stay in that district in Hebron. Wow. Yeah. I mean, they have put up points against this Flower Mound ball club and really kind of a surprising score in this one. Not final just yet in the fourth quarter, but over 445 yards of offense. And Hebron has just woken up in this one.
Well, just when you think you know a guy, right?
Yeah, we said weird things can happen at Hawk Stadium at the Woodshed. And
you called it.
Their defense came out to play. They forced 3 turnovers, and quite frankly, to hold Pierce Hudgens in that rushing attack to under 100 yards rushing. Hudgens is at 89. Blake Short has not really had a super efficient day through the air. I'm very surprised at only 11 points for a Flower Mound Jag offense that really, talent-wise, they're one of the best in the area. Credit to Hebron and that defense. That was my biggest question coming in. Could Hebron defensively compete with Flower Mound's offense? And clearly the answer is a resounding yes, but Carson Harris has had himself a night.
Yeah, we'll talk about Hebron's rushing attack. They near 300 yards on the ground, and Carson Harris off of 19 attempts for 127, and Jalen Lott, who we talked about a little bit before, for 125 yards himself. But, when I saw Carson, to me, when I saw him back in week 2, he reminded me of like a triple option type of quarterback, and it's makes sense. His offers are coming from the service academies, so he obviously can get it done on the ground. He's a big kid, so he can get it done through that. And as far as passing, 2 touchdowns for 163 yards as well.
Yeah, Flower Mound is just shocking me this year. I mean, because of the running back quarterback tandem, you expected them to have more success. I'm shocked by it. I mean, and knowing that the one guy that they had to stop was Harris, and he's still having a big game.
Yeah, I have my question marks about Flower Mound's defense, but I certainly didn't have any questions about their offense.
None.
Right. But right now, definitely the worst performance offensively we've seen from Flower Mound this year, and I'd really just love to see that film. I'd love to see what Hebron did. Was it maybe self-inflicted wounds for Flower Mound? Did they just not execute? Was it not converting? Or does Hebron maybe now have a blueprint for some of the other teams within that district, namely a Flower Mound Marcus, who they've got coming up soon? That's all of a sudden going to be a huge game, especially if they drop to Coppell, and Flower Mound now maybe dropping to Hebron within district. Both of them will have an L.
Yeah, that's tough.
So, yeah, I'm interested moving forward. Maybe Hebron has found something that other people didn't. Now, clearly they've got some talent on that side of the ball for Hebron. Darius Snow, one of the best safeties, if not the best in the state of Texas on that defense. But, Hebron, a team that got moved the ball on last week by Marcus, who's struggling today against Coppell. It's just crazy. That district 6-6A, you never know week to week what's going to happen.
Yeah, that could be something interesting with this game. Now, sticking with this district, we're going to flip back to the Flower Mound Marcus and Coppell Cowboys game. Wow. How about putting pressure on the Coppell Cowboys? Marcus not only scored the touchdown, a 1-yard rush from Tyler Gainey, but they went for 2.
Wow.
And they got it.
Ballsy.
They did.
8 points up on the board in overtime, and they lead it 15-7. Now, if you're
Atkinson
Coppell,
applying pressure right now.
Absolutely. Coppell has to turn around and score not only the touchdown, you got to turn around and put in the extra point and the not the extra point, but the 2-point conversion.
That's
in order
crazy.
To send that to a second OT.
Atkinson has been doing it. I mean, last week when we talk about the onside kick, last week that was very strategic of him, and then this week to go for 2 points, really, bang up coaching job, man.
Well, and that's kind of a flex of I'm going to throw my best out there, and we're going to win this game right here, and basically force Coppell's hand to go score, and then also have to go for 2, and otherwise you lose. So
now it is 4th and goal from the 9-yard line for Coppell.
Play some defense, boys.
They've got to get it into the end zone, and if Marcus can stand strong here in the next coming moments, we should have a Friday final that sees the Marauders survive. We'll hit that here in just a couple of moments. Let's check in on Frisco Heritage and Frisco Centennial. This was a Coyotes team that had a 28-13 lead going into the halftime break. Well, now this one has gone final, and Centennial blanks Heritage in the second half of the ball game. And Heritage, there you see some of the highlights from that first half where they put up some numbers, 28 points in that first couple of quarters. Well, that was all they were able to muster as Heritage falls to Centennial. The Titans get it done because of that defense in the second half. And
he gone.
Titans with their second win in a row. I mean, and both coming at the Star on Friday night. They defeated Liberty last week, and they take down Heritage this week, 39-28, the final score in that one.
And how about that second half comeback by Centennial? 26 second half points after being down 28-13 at the half. Very impressive for Frisco Centennial to come back and rally to win this one.
And that's a win that kind of it keeps Centennial alive, quote unquote, inside that district. Now, neither one of these squads have an easy route to try and get into the playoff hunt. But if Heritage were to have won this game, they would have ended up finding themselves, I believe, at 2-2. In the district, and with the tie-breaking win over Independence.
Right, and a far more realistic route to get in because they've got Liberty and Little Elm, whereas for Centennial, they've got Lone Star and Wakeland. So
Heritage with a win tonight might have.
Well,
this ultimately puts Independence right back in the playoff hunt completely, which is big for Independence and the Knights.
But Centennial gets to control their own destiny with the Wakeland and Independence on their schedule because those are the same teams are fighting for that 4th place spot or 3rd and 4th place spot. So
That's true.
Everybody kind of gets to control their destiny, and it's mano a mano. Everybody's playing each other.
That's always nice to see. But that if you're Independence right now, you get the win last night over Wakeland, and
sure.
Heritage loses, and you're all of a sudden back in the driver's seat at least, because now they control their own destiny, which is something that they didn't previously. They needed a little bit of help, and they got it tonight. Trying to update you on this Flower Mound Marcus score, pass incomplete on 4th down, and the Marauders survive 15-7. The final score as they do come out on top, and Coppell almost had it. Almost ended up being something really big, and Coppell just falls short. Another close game for Coppell that they don't come out on top in.
It's tough because last year, Caden Davis was their guy.
They were the cardiac Cowboys.
They were, they felt confident from 50 plus. We're going to line up and we're going to kick this one through the uprights. Now he's off at A&M, and these close games, it's really just not been there for Coppell. But Marcus was the better football team coming in. I think we all kind of agreed on that. But clearly, they are hurting now without their star running back back there. So, they're going to be a little bit on the drawing board here for Marcus. A win that they needed, and now I think that they're, for Coppell, I don't think that they're eliminated yet, but they've pretty much got to win out if they want to make the playoffs for Coppell. Whereas for Marcus now, a win that they got in an ugly fashion, but they've still put themselves undefeated within district play. They're still fighting for a district championship, and it's a loss where when you're playing against a Flower Mound or a team that maybe you're not the better club against, and you drop a game, you've still got a little bit of cushion built up there.
Yeah, Marcus got to feel good about where they are.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of how they got this W, they got it.
A win's a win, right?
Hey, just win, baby. And they got that. I mean, ugly. However you got to get it. And I think that they go back to the drawing board. They know that Nussmeier can't be throwing the ball as much as he did tonight. That just kind of is a recipe for disaster for them. So they have to be more balanced on offense to be effective.
Well, and talk with me through this. I think Coppell actually might be eliminated now.
Yeah, I think they're right
because,
down there.
Did they just get eliminated?
Well, they've lost to Louisville and Hebron both this year.
Okay.
And those are the third and fourth place teams in the district right now. So even if they were to win their next two and those two programs were to lose their next two,
they lose the tiebreaker.
They would lose a tiebreaker. Not to mention they still have to go through Flower Mound next week at Flower Mound. That's a tough one. And yeah, they're in trouble.
Yeah, Coppell's got Irving, which is winnable for them, no question. But then you're right; they have to play at Flower Mound the following week, which is
the following week.
Yeah, which will be tough because next week you got the Battle of the Mound. You got Marcus and Flower Mound. So you're going to have a Marcus team that survived tonight against Coppell feeling good, and a Flower Mound team that had maybe their worst performance of the season on the road
And
against
they got to get a win. Flower Mound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got to get a win. And well, with that being said, we've got another update in what has been a crazy football game.
Yeah,
and I'm over here kind of just looking back and forth and trying to find out what is going on.
Are we talking about the same game?
The Colony in Frisco Lone Star. The Colony leads 38-34 with 5 minutes remaining in the ball game. Both offenses have woken up in the second half and have awakened from their slumber in that first half. And Lone Star trails by 4. They've given up 38 points. What is going on?
Mikey Arrington just completed a 71-yard pass.
Wow.
To Christian Gonzalez.
Let's go Cougs!
Wow, the big playability in this game by the Cougars is something that no one could have ever predicted because
get out of town.
You didn't predict it.
All
Don't
about
you
it.
do that.
Best offense that Lone Star's faced this year, aside from, of course, Highland Park, is I get the devil glare.
No, I don't disagree
from
with
Guy
anything you're
Frazier.
saying.
But I've said all year long, Miles Price, Keith Miller, the offense of the Colony.
You said all year long.
All year. Don't you dare try and take this away
swear
from me.
to God, man,
Don't
you
you
are
dare. You and Eric have given me nothing but gripe by saying the Colony was a sleeper team this year, and now they've got a chance to knock off the number one team in the state of
Texas. You
Texas.
mean to tell me that you thought that the Colony would come into tonight and beat Lone Star?
Do I think that they would beat Lone Star?
Question.
No, but I thought that they would put up. I thought that they would put up more points than anyone else has this year.
This is unbelievable.
And if they were going to beat them, it would have to be with the big plays to their elite skill talent on offense. My question was the Colony defense. I didn't think they could stop Lone Star.
They've forced 2 big plays in that. They've forced Garrett to throw 2 interceptions, and they've scored twice off of both of them.
Oh, he's got the finger up.
My God.
What do you got, Yeomans?
Boys. The big plays have continued.
What happened?
Let's fight, Heckman.
Marvin Mims?
No,
Monster
actually.
Mims?
Is it Miles?
Bogdan.
Bogdan!
45-yard touchdown
No way!
run.
Wow. How much time left?
There goes that Coug defense you're talking about.
4:22
Oh, man, they're blowing it. That Colony
4:22.
defense, I can't
Colony
trust them for
defense.
anything.
But shoot, there's still 4-something left.
Yeah,
I mean,
4:22, so they're going to
we got
score like
no
8 more
scores in
times.
this.
It's fine.
Give me the Kansas commit, Keith Miller for the touchdown. I'm booking it now.
Wow, okay, I see
right.
it. But yes, a 45-yard touchdown run makes it a 41-38 lead. And these are two offenses that were relatively quiet in the first half. 13-10 was the halftime score. That's not the case anymore.
You know who's had an excellent game is Christian Gonzalez. So we were talking about maybe playing some more DB on Marvin Mims, but he's averaging 36 yards a catch. He's got 4 catches for $144 and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah,
he's been burning Lone Star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's been it. Literally, he's been it.
Come on, Keith Miller's got a touchdown. Mikey Harrington's run for a touchdown.
104 catches, 4 catches, 144
Where's
yards.
Torrin Pittman at, bro?
He's somewhere out there.
Garrett Rangel throwing 2 picks and then the Colony capitalizing off of both of them with scores is huge.
Okay, that is huge. But
That's
how about
gigantic.
this? He's thrown 2 interceptions, yet the Colony still has given up 40-plus points.
for sure. They
you
haven't
know?
shown up as far as that goes, but
That's what's going to
it's given
kill the
them
Colony.
opportunities.
That's what's going to hold them back from making a legit run is that defense.
Right.
You know, they need to figure that out because I believe in you.
And this is a huge game, like we were talking, in between shows during the break. The loser of this has to face either Highland Park, Lancaster, or Timberview in a 2-3 spot.
Well,
in the
Lone
playoffs.
Star, I think, has a better opportunity to beat those teams, don't
For
you?
sure.
So let's just give
But
the win
either
to
way,
the
you
Colony.
want to win this game because it sets you up with Mansfield Legacy or Woodrow Wilson in the first round of the playoffs.
Oh, and everybody want to see Woodrow Wilson.
I don't know how in the world Mansfield Legacy's getting
Legacy
into the
was up
playoffs.
28-0 last time I saw it. Well, they're like
They
Mesquite
were.
Horn last year. They're going to lose. They're going to go 0-6
And
to
then
start
win
the
their last
season
3.
and then lose.
Just like
Yeah.
Lincoln, too.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
I swear to God, this pen.
The Tigers.
All right, before things the wheels fall off completely, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll keep you updated here on this Lone Star and the Colony battle to the final. Like Guy said, with 4:22 left, each team should score
It's a heavyweight fight.
Score like 12
It's a
more
10-round
times.
fight.
We'll keep you updated on those 12 different scores when we come back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Gear up for back to sport at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
It's game day. A day that should be spent in the living room, not the kitchen. So next game, you just worry about the score. Because we've got the food covered. With hand-battered, cooked-to-order, always fresh, never, ever frozen chicken fingers. Craveable cane sauce. Crispy crinkle-cut fries, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Go Cowboys!
It's in all of us, and we won't hold it back. Not one little bit. Nope, we embrace it, letting it fuel our passions, pushing us deeper than we thought possible and keeping us curious. It's what sets us apart from the herd. It's how we come up with the ideas that make people say, why didn't I think of that? See, when you nurture the creativity and passion that's in all of us, you'll learn nothing is out of reach.
Get excited, Whataburger fans. Our one-of-a-kind mushroom Swiss burger is back.
And now it's an all-time favorite.
If you love mushrooms, you're going to love this burger.
The double cheese, the mushrooms was absolutely amazing.
It's a really good balance between the mushrooms and the Swiss. And that au jus sauce on top.
The creamy au jus sauce.
It really complements the mushrooms. Everything just works perfectly together.
It's just perfect. Every bite's perfect.
It's not just a mushroom Swiss burger, it's a Whataburger mushroom Swiss burger.
The beautiful Lombardi trophies up at the Star in Frisco, home to the Dallas Cowboys. Having some fun in the middle of the break as Heckma and Zach have just not stopped talking.
Does it smell like tri-tip?
No, no, it doesn't. Moving forward.
Heckman's so upset about this Lone Star dilemma here. His pet project is showing some weaknesses.
Big third down, by the way, for the Colony. 3rd and 1 from the 31-yard line. Colony still on their side of the field. That one with 4:15 left in the fourth quarter. Now, moving on Jesuit at Allen. I don't know what
Dude,
you're
keep
laughing
it together.
I'm trying, man.
You need me to host this?
No, I got it. Jesuit at Allen. We thought this was an opportunity for the Rangers to really kind of make a statement.
Not so fast.
Yeah, not so fast.
We
it was a
Heckma thought.
Yeah, he did. He circled it. He said, "Upset alert."
Let's look at this.
That didn't happen because
What do you
really
think
from
Allen's
the get-go,
uniforms?
I like them.
I
I like
like 'em
them a
too,
lot,
actually.
actually. I think they look really clean. And they got off to a quick start, no doubt about it. And Allen just never looked back. And you see the celebration on the sideline. The celebrations were all over the place because Allen takes down Jesuit in emphatic fashion.
It was emphatic. And it's tough to go and beat Allen at Allen, man. You know, they're going for 14 straight district championships. I think they unofficially, maybe officially, unofficially, probably officially, unofficially clinched their 14th straight tonight. Because, you know, other than Prosper's got, I guess, one loss within district. That's probably their biggest remaining opponent. I don't think that they're going to beat Prosper, or Prosper's going to beat Allen, I should say. But if they were to drop that game, maybe there's a share of a district championship, possibly. But either way, Allen's going to Allen. And E.J. Smith and Jesuit still did some of the things that we looked to if they were going to win this game if they needed to. E.J. Smith had a great night receiving. They were able to put up some points through the air, but ultimately, you can't kick field goals against Allen, and Jesuit just couldn't stop them. I mean, Allen's offense did whatever they wanted in this game.
Yeah, and neither defense really had a great night. And we'll see the stats coming up here in just a moment. But 548 yards of total offense for Jesuit compared to 726 for Allen. Over
1,400 yards
yeah,
of offense.
1,400. Thanks for the math there, Guy, because I'm not very good at that. But E.J. Smith, 8 receptions, 99 yards, like you said, and a couple of touchdowns for Smith, and that was receiving. Now, on the ground, Allen really impressive in shutting down E.J. Smith. 10 carries for just 23 yards. That's 2.3 yards per attempt, and he didn't have a touchdown score on the ground tonight. So just not the greatest night, at least defensively for either squad, but once again, Allen just so tough to beat at home.
Yeah, well, it's unfair.
It is unfair.
They're always at
now
home.
you guys are starting to come on over and understand what I've dealt with for my whole life.
It's a true home field advantage.
It's so upsetting, man.
they're
Allen,
good at home.
and they don't get tested in district. Plano East has played them tough a couple of times, but otherwise they just roll. I mean, they literally steamroll everybody within that district. The 3 Plano schools, they get whipped every year. Whoever else is attached to them, whether it's Jesuit, whether it's Hebron. Now you've got Prosper and the McKinney schools. Irving's been in there a little bit, MacArthur. And it doesn't matter who you throw in there. It'll always be Allen and the 3 Plano schools and whoever the other poor saps are that get district aligned with Allen. And Allen just beats up on everybody, man. I mean, you saw how tough it was for Duncanville. They had to hold on for dear life to knock them out in the state semifinal.
Yeah, well-coached team. You get that from Allen anyway, but this kid Sharp is, wow. 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, 96 yards on the ground. I mean, the kid is unstoppable. If we just want to look for any silver lining for Jesuit, is the fact that Rance Holman did have a good game, 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. E.J. Smith had 2 touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, though, 8 catches, 99 yards. And my God, I mean, it's just one of those things. We just get to this point in the year, and there's nothing you can do about them. I mean, look, I'm going to say that Prosper is the last hope for someone to beat them in the regular season, but nah.
Well, but they get them at home, right?
It's at Prosper.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a road game.
And they've got something to prove after the loss to Jesuit.
And I don't think
don't talk it up. Don't do it.
That could be a big
God.
Guys,
you gotta send a reporter to that
I've
game.
bit my tongue and I've sat back and let the Jesuit talk and let guys. Prosper is not beating Allen in no world.
Oh, you heard it here first.
In no world. Our pigs flying? Has hell frozen over? Allen ain't losing a district game, not this year, and maybe not ever.
Man, somebody sound
that sounds like a Plano Senior High.
They've taken my spirit, and I've just been crushed.
His spirit has been broken for quite some time
All right,
now.
keep going ahead and talking up any school you want. I mean, you can fill in the last year was Plano East.
Well, I didn't.
Why can't we dream? Zach?
Well, but
why can't we dream?
The Jesuit game tonight
that,
seemed
sir.
like a pipe dream, but I think the Prosper game. I think physically in the trenches they can match up with Allen. I think it holds a little bit of weight. I think it's we need to see and wait, but I don't know.
When you saw what Jesuit did to Prosper, what makes
Yeah.
you think that Allen's not going to do the exact same thing?
Well,
Who's got a better defensive line? They've got a better quarterback. They've got better runners. They've got better receivers.
I would say the quarterback.
Maybe E.J. Smith is the difference maker there. E.J. Smith is the only player better on Jesuit than anybody.
But E.J. Smith
that
is
Allen's
going to
put
have to
out
get it going
there.
on the ground.
Yeah, you can't have 10 carries for
10
23
carries for
yards.
23
Okay, well,
doesn't
Because
work.
the other guy had 102 yards and a
Off
touchdown.
of 4 attempts, though.
What you think J.T. Lane's going to have a successful day on the ground?
I'm just saying.
Ask him again.
He's not going for it. He's not. He's
It's not
budging.
happening. We'll talk it up. I'll let you guys do your building, and I'll sit back and watch 50-17 or whatever it's going to be. But Allen ain't losing to Prosper.
I just think if Jesuit was going to have a chance tonight, EJ was going to have to do more than just 10 carries for 23. And probably you're going to have, and not just the 23 yards part, but just 10 rushing attempts.
You love raining on the parade, man.
I love being a realist, and I'm not going to try and give false hope to an audience.
That's a different color rainwater, I want to tell you,
I'm
too.
sorry.
This is not one of the games, as we move on, this is not one of the games that we've had circled, but talking about false hope, was there any hope for Sunset and the Bison against Mansfield Timberview tonight? Have you any of you looked at this ball game?
It was 70-0 last time I
Yeah,
looked.
84-0 final score.
Nothing?
84-0.
Well, Sunset first
Final
year
score.
coach there. And, yeah.
7 touchdowns in the first quarter for Timberview.
Well, Guy is,
It was
Timberview is a
49-0.
team that maybe we haven't given enough attention to.
And I'll tell you why here in just a second. How about this? Started the game with an 81-yard kickoff return, then a 25-yard pick six. And then they scored on offense, 51-yard pass. Then they scored again on defense, a 10-yard fumble return. And then they had a 40-yard punt return. That was in the first quarter alone against Sunset. And, 84-0. Independent or Timberview rather, 432 yards of total offense compared to negative 17 from Sunset. They had negative 34 yards rushing. Poor Bison. Moving on from that one, though, I just wanted to mention that second game tonight that we had 84 points put up. You had Colleyville Heritage put up 84, and then you had Timberview with 84 points. And both
It's got
of which,
mercy rule.
We were wondering where the offense is. It was with Timberview and Colleyville. They stole all the
they
points.
took it all. They grabbed all of it. Denton Geyer had their piece of offense tonight against Keller, though, as the Geyer Wildcats continue on their rampage. Their one hiccup against Southlake, they rebounded last week in a 30-0 win that was called at halftime, and they put up points again tonight against Keller. And what was kind of a intriguing game, and I don't think any of us would have picked Denton Geyer to lose. However, they do come out on top in convincing fashion, to say the least.
No Enoch and Chobo tonight for Keller as he got
That's
banged
big.
up in last week's game. And a game that Geyer won 31-17 last year. They go ahead and do it by a wider margin this year. Eli Stowers very efficient. 16 of 21, just under 230 yards passing and 3 scores. And then Kadrick Cobbs on the ground averaged over 11 yards a carry, had 133 yards and 3 scores on the ground for him. Hayden Anderson did play, but it was limited. I mean, once they knew that they were pretty much out of this one, they put in Clayton Thomas and gave Anderson a break. He was also banged up coming in. He couldn't run the football whatsoever, and without Enoch and Chobo, they needed Anderson's legs, and they just didn't have them. So not a full-strength Keller Indian squad. Even if they were at full strength, I don't know that they could have competed and knocked off Denton Geyer, but Geyer, they want to finish the season strong heading into the postseason, something they didn't do last year, and this is another one they can tick off of the schedule. Next week they go on the road, their last 2 games to Northwest Eaton. That should be a fun game. And they finish on the road at Trophy Club Byron Nelson. And I know a lot of people would look at that game and say, oh, well, they should roll Byron Nelson. Not so fast. Byron Nelson knocked him out of the playoffs a couple of years ago, and they beat Geyer last year. So that's a game Coach Walsh and the Geyer Wildcats will be up for against Trophy Club Byron Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
And then also sticking with that district, Northwest Eaton, you mentioned them a moment ago. Well, they fell tonight. Keller Central with a big 17-14 win as Keller Central now 7-1 on the season. And they keep winning ball games in that district. And, I mean, if you're looking at a sleeper team in the DFW area, it may just be Keller Central out of 5-6A.
Yeah, I agree.
You do?
I do.
I agree, too.
Yeah, we agree together.
Holy cow.
What is that
How about that?
Now, we've got a little bit of Guy Frazier saying, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know
I
that
don't
I'm
know.
completely buying into Keller Central, but when you look at how this district's shaping up now, I think Central, I like the way that they play, man. I like kind of those, similar to Arlington Martin.
Yeah.
Maybe
don't
not
know
quite.
how to put your finger on it, but they're winning football games.
They're playing good defense, and that's really it. Their football team and their path to success is around, hey, we are going to play good defense, and we're going to make this a slower-paced, our style of football game. And credit Keller Central. They find a way to put up anywhere from 14 to 20 points, and if they can go ahead and hold the opponent to 14 or less, they're going to get the win. And they did it tonight against Eaton, a team that I expected a little bit more from their offense. I don't know about you, Guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know a ton about Central, but
you don't say that out loud.
Well, I'll be honest about it. I just don't.
Thank you.
Rule on air number one.
But I mean, I don't know. I think there's a gap between them and Southlake and Geyer. But when they're matched up with 6-6 in the bi-district round, that's a competitive district. But I don't think there's any Carroll or Geyer in that district. So, maybe they can sneak one in the first round and make a little bit of a run of it.
When I did Keller Central last week, just talking about them and their defense, just knowing that they play solid defense, but also saying that they were not in this district, they would be a contender. But
yeah, you said
they're in the wrong district. That's for sure. But Andrew Paul, the job that he's doing on the ground, and I love the way that the Chargers play. They rely heavily on their defense, but also in their running game, so they don't make a lot of mistakes. I mean, you look at the passing yards for them. 87 yards in the air.
Yeah, I mean, they're one-dimensional, no doubt about it. If they go up, they're kind of similar. They're like a poor man, a Trinity Junior, if you will. They want to run the football with Aaron Paul, and they want to play good defense. They're certainly not the kind of physical offensive line. It's not as big.
A poor man's Euless Trinity.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They're like a baby Trinity.
Straight out left field.
Wow.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm sorry.
Zach's on another level tonight, and I love it. He's feeling edgy.
Maybe a poor choice of words, but you get what I mean. I didn't mean it disrespectfully. They play a similar brand of football.
They can do
a similar brand of
not
football.
on that level of
No
the Trinity.
doubt. And Trinity proving that again tonight because of what they've been able to do in their ball game against Weatherford. We'll get to that in a moment. Do want to take a quick trip, though, to 7-6A, Cedar Hill and Mansfield Lake Ridge. This was a game early that was tied 14-all at halftime. Well, Cedar Hill in the third quarter comes out, puts up a score pretty early. A Caden Salter 4-yard run made it 21-14. Lake Ridge turns around and scores to tie it up at 21 right at the start of the fourth quarter. Then with 2:13 left, a 34-yard field goal puts Lake Ridge up 24-21. But with 1:21 left in the fourth quarter, Quinn Bright, a 63-yard touchdown reception from Salter, puts Cedar Hill up 28-24 with just about a minute remaining in that football game.
Wow. How about that? A desperation game for Lake Ridge, one that they've got to win, and they're finally having some success. I'm wondering where Keelan Johnson is. Their D1 wide receiver. It's really been Terrence DeRoe, who's been the better receiver this year. But where's Keelan been? Tonight, he's made some big-time touchdown snags for them, one of 23 yards, another one of 5 yards. But the quick strike ability of Quinn Bright, you talk about his speed. After they get down on that field goal from Tabor Allen, who, oh, by the way, might be the best kicker in the DFW area.
Maybe.
Quinn Bright with a 63-yard touchdown scamper. So now, again, pressure put back on Lake Ridge. Do they go back to Keelan Johnson here?
That's a good question. They are at a 3rd and 9 with 1:09 remaining in the ball game. So a crucial third down. Of course, it's 4-down territory at this point. But they've got a little bit of a ways to go with 1:09 remaining.
Well, that District of Doom has a lot of competition in it.
They beat each other up. Yeah. And this is an impressive showing by Lake Ridge. A game that they have to have. It's been a little bit of a frustrating year for them. Cedar Hill's coming off a big victory over Summit to kind of put themselves back where people are looking at Cedar Hill saying, all right, this Longhorn team's legitimate again. People were starting to question them a little bit. How about Lake Ridge hanging in there? But they need one more score if they want to come back and get the job done.
And I do want to add a little bit more detail in how this kind of unfolded. So I mentioned how Lake Ridge got up on top 24-21 after that field goal. It's a 34-yard field goal from Allen. They ran on first down, Cedar Hill did, and then the next pass was from Salter. It was intercepted and taken back to the Cedar Hill 37-yard line. So Lake Ridge with the football up by 3 on the Cedar Hill 37-yard line, then ran it 3 straight times and went for it on 4th and 7, didn't get it. And then the first play of that following drive for Cedar Hill was the 68-yard or 63-yard touchdown pass that ends up putting Cedar Hill up on top. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that one. Sticking with the 6A level, and sticking really with that district, which has provided some incredible games tonight. Mansfield Summit, South Grand Prairie, a 1-score game in the fourth quarter of that one as well. And really, Mansfield Summit, who we thought going into this ball game had an opportunity to kind of rebound after they took one on the chin to Cedar Hill last week. Well, South Grand Prairie has defended their home turf, at least for now, and currently leads the Mansfield Summit Jaguars by a field goal in that football game from the Gopher Warrior Bowl.
Yeah, well, Summit is trying to spoil that party.
Oh, yeah?
Summit has just actually scored. It was Jalen Travis, a 19-yard touchdown scamper. And Summit, as you see right here, is our wonderful people, Mr. Chris Beam and Matt Kent and Chance and company back there just putting in the work. 21-17 now, Summit on top. Where in the world is my SGP defense, Heckma?
They are lacking big time because they're giving up some major yardage right now.
They really are. Probably the most yardage all year.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of non-district play, but they've been outstanding in their first 3 district games. Here comes Summit. We knew offensively they were pretty good. They got kind of stifled by Cedar Hill. I thought SGP would do a similar job on them, but they've passed the ball. Well, really, it's the rushing. The rushing game, I think, for Summit that's really surprised me tonight.
Yeah, and SGP hadn't been giving up a lot of rushing yards at all. I mean, it comes down to district. You see these district games, even the teams that aren't that good because they play each in such a fierce rivalry among some of these teams. You just see that they play each other really tough. I'm shocked, like I said, by these rushing yards that SGP is giving up.
Now, here's some of the things that we don't get, being here and not at these games. I don't think Drake Logan's played tonight.
Wow.
I think Drake Logan's out tonight for South Grand Prairie. I don't know what has happened, but
Sean Stegall.
It looks like, it's Sean Stegall who's been leading the way at quarterback for.
Yeah, that's a big difference because he is everything for them.
He was their leading rusher and passer.
Yeah. And so they've had to get it from a lot of different places. Stegall is still doing it on the ground as well, but a bunch of names that we're not used to seeing hit the stat sheet. And Titus Jackson, who has a touchdown, and Javarius Crawford also has a touchdown. Names, like I said, that you hadn't seen hit the stat sheet for the Warriors.
Definitely impacts things when your signal caller goes down, and especially Drake Logan. We talked about it in the preview. This offense has really kind of been built around him. He's really been the do-it-all everything, and then they play good defense. Now, credit South Grand Prairie with a backup quarterback hanging in this football game, but that does maybe speak to why SGP hasn't quite played like we've expected and seen from them so far this year.
Yeah, and just another big game in that district. By the way, sticking with 7-6A, Cedar Hill has now closed out that win over Lake Ridge. 28-24 the final score in that one as we take a look at some of the final numbers. Now, on 4th and 16, after a timeout was called for Lake Ridge, a run of negative 20 yards down to the Lake Ridge 1-yard line. They went backwards all the way to their own goal line before the game came to a close for Mansfield Lake Ridge. So maybe some confusion there, maybe a fumble or something just kind of wild ended up happening at the end of that ball game. But regardless, Cedar Hill and the Longhorns hold on, put up just enough points in that second half to come out on top, despite Mansfield Lake Ridge putting up 10 in the fourth quarter. So we're going to take a quick break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. When we come back, we'll start wrapping up some of our Friday finals. We've got about 45 minutes left here in Week 8 of Texas high school football. Don't go away. Stick with us. We'll be back in a moment here from the Star in Frisco.
I'm Billy Martin. I'm an Executive Vice President with North Dallas Bank and Trust. It's about authentic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. At local banks like North Dallas, we give you personalized service that you just can't get at the big banks. Everything we do is driven by your best interest. We call it having a high YQ or U quotient.
I'm Jack. We started SeatGeek because we want fans to have a better, more transparent ticket buying experience. With SeatGeek, you can see the best deals and buy tickets, all with a price match guarantee. The only thing we can't guarantee is that your team will win. So use the code TICKETS20 at checkout for $20 off your first order.
It's game day. A day that should be spent in the living room, not the kitchen. So next game, you just worry about the score. Because we've got the food covered. With hand-battered, cooked-to-order, always fresh, never, ever frozen chicken fingers. Craveable cane sauce. Crispy crinkle-cut fries, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Go Cowboys!
Back here from the Star in Frisco, Kyle Yeoman, Zach Wolchuk, Heckma Harrison, and filling in for Eric Chiafalo, Guy Frazier here from the beautiful Star in Frisco, home to the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. What are you talking about? Stop it. You guys need to behave.
It's not me.
No, it is
No,
you.
it is
You're
you.
egging it on.
No, I'm not.
You are guilty by association.
I'm not.
I'm going to throw out everything that my mom has ever yelled at me to you here in the next couple of moments.
You are being the aggressive party. You were agitating. Throw the flag. If only we had that flag we talked about last week.
We do not have the flag, no, but I do have something for you guys in reference to last week.
Okay.
So you remember, and it's a little sad, and nothing against you, Guy, but Eric Chiafalo last week made a brilliant point and was outstandingly right on a point. And we kind of talked about it, and he's, of course, a Miami guy. And what's one of the things that Miami is known for?
Oh, the turnover chain.
Turnover chain. So I said, hey, why don't we have a turnover chain for good points in terms of our show?
You made it. No way.
So it's not finished yet.
Shut up.
I will tell you, it's not finished yet. But I've got ourselves a turnover chain. So, so we're gonna give it to Guy for filling in so quickly and
Thank you.
quick.
I don't know how I like that.
Well, I'm sure.
You don't like the chain, or you don't like that Guy is putting on the chain?
I think it's because I got the chain.
I'm kind of upset about it.
You upset? He
I'm a
came
little
in.
biased.
He got here before either one of you guys, and he got late notice
but
on
you know
it.
who's
So-
won the show?
Who?
Me.
Wow. Yeah, Heckma did
Who
a
you
couple
go-
of segments
yeah.
earlier.
But my question
Queen
is, can I
Heckman's
get
got to
my
get his solo airtime.
Can I
I
get my
know.
head through that thing though?
I think
know,
he
it
could.
was tight.
It's pretty tight.
It was tight.
Yeah,
So,
honestly, I don't
the
think any of
plan-
us are going to be able to wear that.
Turnover crown.
It's
Yeah.
a turnover ground.
Because it won't be able to fit over your big head. Oh, that's funny. We are gonna put. I'm gonna put a big Friday Night Stars logo.
I like
on
it.
and
Oh.
kind of have it to where it'll kind of go back and forth, and
bling.
we'll make it look really nice.
With
and-
friends
and
like these, who need enemies, guys? I swear to God.
I think that is brilliant, Kyle.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
I appreciate
That's
it.
outstanding.
Yeah, so the
Bling,
turnover
bling.
chain. We've got to come up with a
Looks good on
legitimate
you.
name, but it does. It actually kind of fits, Guy. Maybe it's the glasses.
Cuban links, baby.
Who's going to win the 5A state championship, guy?
I don't know. I really don't. I think y'all have this like idea. You know, I don't. At this point, this might be my last time here. I'm kind of over it.
I was wondering what would be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah.
No, you got to be feeling pretty good though with Lone Star and what's happened
Jeez
tonight.
Louise.
Poor guy.
No, I mean,
We just come in. You
my
come
thing
in
on
and
my
we
thing on
pick
them
you.
winning is good teams winning games even when they're not at their best. And Rangel, I don't think was at his best tonight, but yet they still found a way to win. I'm impressed with that. I have nothing against Lone Star. That's a good win, and that's a good Colony team. They don't play defense again, but
I know it's upsetting.
But that's a good win for Lone Star regardless. Kind of surprised they let up 38 points. That's the first time their defense
Yeah.
has kind of
Shown some weakness.
Shown some weakness, maybe a little chink in the armor. But They'll get that right. Coach Rayburn does a good job over there in that staff, and it's an impressive win.
I'll tell you what, the Highland Park fans and the Denton Ryan fans, they've got to look at that score and think, okay, mortality.
We're feeling bad, or we're feeling better here.
They're human. But there's a lot of good teams. You got Alvin Shadow Creek down by Houston, and Highland Park still around, and Denton Ryan. There are plenty of good teams in 5AD.
I was just pulling your chain.
I know you are.
The turnover chain.
But I'm always just going to bring the logic. So.
Wow. But here's the other part about it is Christian Gonzalez goes off four catches, 144 yards. That may be another team there that says, hey, we got our weapon too, and we can attack you guys. I think I've never gone to the stat sheet this year and saw where they've given up 343 yards in the air. You're talking about a Lone Star team that does apply pressure with their three front guys. So I'm shocked. I'm shocked, but I will say that I think that Rayburn and his staff will make some adjustments, figure out what happened. And the Colony, with all of the speed they have, they attack you. Harrington is a great quarterback. Miles Price on the outside. I just think they presented a different option here with this other guy, Gonzalez, that I don't think they were prepared for at all.
And the Colony forced 3 turnovers, still wasn't able to win the football game. If you say, hey, we're going to force 3 turnovers against Lone Star, we're going to put up 38 points. I just said I think the Colony's got a good shot to pull that upset.
And how about Rangel? Finally playing like a sophomore, right?
Yeah,
finally having that game where because before guy was unconscious. He's having 300, 400 yard games, and tonight 157 yards, but 2 interceptions.
788 combined total yards of offense between both those schools.
Wow.
Not a game that you would think that Lone Star's defense would be in.
Nope. Not at all.
And a lot of talk about the offense and stuff, but your Lone Star defense actually came up with a big play on 4th down to stop the Colony and get them off the field and seal the deal. So, they let up 38 points tonight, but when it mattered, your boys got done. They stepped up. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, that's big. And I like what Guy said kind of coming into this segment was good teams find out a way to win games.
Yeah,
and absolutely. That's exactly what they did. And he even said, you go into it, and of course, Coach Rayburn there is going to get things right whenever the time matters and whenever it gets into postseason play. And they learned a lesson, and a lot of lessons tonight against that Colony team, who is definitely formidable. But you still didn't end up with a loss, and that's really at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. That's why you play the games.
And
right?
if you don't think this is the last time Lone Star is going to be in a close game this year, you're probably mistaken because this is probably good experience come late playoff time when they're going to be in a close game most
Good
likely.
point.
And Rangel can fall back on this and learn from it and be better for it next time because they're going to be in another close game at some point, I'm sure.
And I know Marvin Mims still had a pretty good game statistically, but they were picked up by their running game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was something last year. They didn't have a consistent running game. Now, Bogdan came up with a huge run there in the fourth quarter. He's been very consistent. We saw Nixon have an excellent game last week against Independence.
Transfer.
They've got some backs that can go ahead and make it happen for them.
Yeah, I think that dual backfield with Bogdan and Nixon is something that's kind of underrated when you talk about this Lone Star squad. They're both solid, and they're different runners, which is, I think, important when you have a dual backfield. Bogdan's kind of a wider, stocky back
That
who's
thunder
gonna,
and lightning.
Exactly, he's going to throw or is going to run you over, whereas Nixon is the speed and the agility that's going to run around you.
And you can put them both on the field at the same time because Nixon's an outstanding receiver.
And then what do you do? Because then you've got to worry about Rangel, one of the fab sophomores in the area. And then you got to worry about Marvin Mims. And if Marvin Mims isn't doing that, then
opposing defenses have their hands full.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things you brought up during the break was what do they have at the receiver position after Mims?
Right.
And they're going to have to discover that because, like you said, if they get into a situation like this, you need a play to be made. Everybody on defense is going to be keying on Marvin Mims. Who is the other guy that they have that has the big playability?
We really don't know yet.
We don't. Bogdan went for, a 60-yard or 40-yard touchdown tonight. He had 193 yards on the ground. Unconscious game. But when you get into the upper echelon and some of those better defenses as well, better than the Colony, you're going to have another guy step up. And who is that going to be?
Winning close games is not a bad thing. Learn from it and be better for it. And, come playoff time, they'll be okay in a game like this. I think it's a good lesson.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, we haven't given any love to it. And Zach, you said, who won the day, right? It's not you. You didn't win the day, but your alma mater did win the day.
My alma mater had a nice day.
Plano with a big win over Plano East.
Let's look at it.
Would you like to go into this, Zach, and kind of marvel on the 42-20 win over your rival?
Let's take a look at that. 42-20, Plano.
You feel good about that.
Didn't you have a bet riding on
I did.
this?
So Professor Diggs,
friend of the show.
Diggs,
No, he's actually a professor, and he bet you.
He did, and he said, "Look, he's a big Plano East fan. He follows East. He was at the game tonight there at John Clark Stadium.
Is he
sure
alumnus?
It was a packed
That's
house.
a question that we still
did he
need
go
to
to
answer.
Plano?
Diggs, are you an alumnus or not? I'm not sure. I know you followed East for years. I know you're watching the show. But
I think he's a Murphy resident for sure.
Yeah,
So
he's
he
got
lives
some
near the
kind of
school.
No, you
relation
know
to
what?
East.
Professor Diggs went to Lincoln.
What?
No, I'm just joking.
What?
But an excellent night. Tylen Hines, 261 yards and 3 touchdowns, leading the way for Plano. Oliver Towns.
All
what do you
over
call him?
town, baby.
All over town. Yeah, 3 touchdown passes tonight. He also rushed for another score. And look, Trey Scott Jones did what he could, not only on the ground, but he ended up having a nice night through the air. 7 catches, 138 yards, and a touchdown. But Plano, my Wildcats, I thought they'd be the better team tonight, more of the complete team. I'm really just impressed with the emergence of Oliver Towns. And I think we need to give some credit to Carson Meager, their quarterbacks coach, formerly of he was Plano's quarterback in 2007 and 2008. Some really good seasons there. Of course, you played alongside Rex Burkhead, who's now with the New England Patriots, won the Super Bowl last year. But Carson Meager, the quarterbacks coach there, has done an excellent job with Oliver Towns, who is somewhat comparable with Carson. Meager was a guy with dual threat. Player could run, get the job done with his legs a little bit. Oliver Towns maybe a little bit of a better runner, but I thought that was a weakness at the beginning of the year for Plano, was not really having a consistent passing game. Oliver Towns the last couple of weeks has shown, hey, he can throw the football through the air. Big win for Plano over a crosstown rival, and Professor Diggs owes me a dinner now. What can I say?
Where are you going to go?
It's a great question.
Tri-tip?
Should I?
No.
Please,
maybe,
no.
I don't want tri-tip for you.
Maybe tri-tip.
So, with that being said, has there been a week where all 4 of our alma maters have won?
I think this could be a first.
So, Lincoln won last night.
Yeah.
Highland Park blows out their squad tonight.
Justin Northwest won.
Out. Justin Northwest won for Eric Chiafalo.
Plano won for me.
Plano won for you.
I saw the Panthers were up 14.
And my team ends up playing Harker Heights on homecoming, and they fall. Harker Heights beat Midway.
The Knights won?
17-14 at Midway on homecoming.
Has it been a bit of a down year for Midway this year?
Well, it's been a weird year for that district in that the Colleen schools have kind of
They've found out.
They have found, like, Shoemaker's been good in the past. Ellison's had some all right teams, but the Colleen schools in that district have been pretty strong, and that's something we haven't been able to say in a while from a
Kyle was
state
so
perspective.
upset.
So, yeah.
Midway's usually the best out of the bunch.
Well, Midway and Temple.
I thought that's what you were going for. That we.
Yeah. No, I was alluding to that. I wanted to kind of build it up and then just kind of like stab it and then just turn it. What
was the score?
I wanted to do. 17-14.
So the last score I saw was 14-all.
Yeah.
God.
Well, they got a late field goal and ended up winning it on the road against Midway at Panther Stadium.
Boy, and I saw Harker Heights.
It's the first time they've lost a homecoming game since I was there back in 2012. It's the last time they've lost a homecoming.
Well, and I saw Harker Heights play Midway my freshman year of college in 2015, and they didn't look like they even deserved to be on the same football field as Midway.
And I thought the same thing.
And
but
here we are.
Harker Heights is now 5-2.
Let's bring it back to what matters.
2014 season,
Play, no.
Okay, stop it.
Play.
Stop it. Lincoln is the best team by far out of all of our squads this week.
Biggest win, finally, off the Schneid.
They got it. They got it done. So, going back to the top of the list, Arlington. This was an emphatic win for the Arlington Martin Warriors. 21-3, the final score, as they take a big one from their crosstown rival at UTA Stadium, ultimately taking control of District 4 6A and trying to win a district championship. And overall, it was another ugly game and another ugly win for Arlington Martin. Maybe in the normal side of it. I mean, it was 3-0 at halftime, and if you're Arlington Martin, that's kind of what you're used to doing.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. They win ugly. That's the way it goes. 21-3 sounds like the kind of game they want to play. Look at those numbers.
Look at the rushing yard.
Popping off the
really
page.
everything from. And this is an Arlington offense. It's pretty darn good.
Right. At some point, they got to prove it, right? So 63 yards rushing, 67 yards passing, a turnover apiece. First downs.
You're a defensive guy. Why are you laughing so much? This should warm your heart.
He was going for Chris Sims in this one. And look, Chris Sims, they got more first downs, and ultimately the turnover battle being even, it's just shocking to me. You got 21 points, and you don't even have over 70 yards rushing or passing in the game. But that's Martin for you. It's a little bit of a scratch your head.
They win.
They just get the job done.
When I saw them against Hebron, they were, there was 24-3 at halftime or something like that. And they had negative 30 or total yards of offense in the first half.
And they were shut out in the first half of this one. It was a 15-point third quarter that ultimately ended up being the difference in that ball game. And Zach Mundell, kind of the star in that one, had the 5-yard touchdown run that put Arlington Martin up and ended up kind of orchestrating the last touchdown of the ball game as well. And Mallory Hartley got an opportunity to catch up with Zach Mundell of Arlington Martin after the win.
I'm Mallory Hartley, reporting with Whataburger's Friday Night Stars, and I'm here with Martin's quarterback, Zach Mundell. Zach, this is arguably one of the best wins that y'all have had all season, and this is one of the toughest teams in y'all's district. So what does this mean for your team and yourself?
This is a lot for our team because this means we rule the city. That's what it means.
Absolutely.
Yes, and it means a lot more than just a game because the name that we're wearing on our back tonight, AJ Castaneda, and that's who we play for.
Absolutely. So in that first half, you guys kind of struggled getting started on offense. What was said in that locker room for you guys to come out in that second half and score 21 points?
He definitely set the tone. He changed our mood because we knew we had to come out here and get it done. And offensively, it wasn't right in the first half.
So, as playoffs start to approach, what is one thing you guys may need to work on a little bit going forward?
Defensively, we're doing really good, and I'm really impressed with my teammates, how they hold everybody. There's no one that can run over them. But offensively, we need to get more consistent. I
gotcha. Zach, thank you so much for joining me, and congratulations on your win. Thank you. You can catch highlights and updates from this game on our Twitter page at Friday_Stars, or you can check out our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.
Appreciate it, Mallory, and catching up with Zach Mundell, and he even kind of alluded to it, but a nice you see the special jersey there for Martin and Arlington wearing them as well. The special jerseys commemorating and memorializing fallen police officer A.J. Castaneda, who was killed in the line of duty this past week. So definitely want to tip the cap to both of those schools who did a great thing today. They honored him pregame. You can go on to Mallory's Twitter and look at the video of that pregame ceremony. It's definitely heartwarming and ultimately a really nice night in a rivalry that's usually heated between the two squads, and it absolutely was on the field. But at the same time, they were able to come together and honor a fallen hero in A.J. Castaneda. So our thoughts and prayers once again with that Castaneda family. Now, moving forward in our Friday night slate, Birdville at Denton, we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Let's go back to this Coppell and Flower Mound Marcus game, though. It's 6-6A. Just an outstanding game from the get-go, a defensive slugfest, 7-7 at the end of regulation, and then Marcus comes out in overtime, scores immediately on the opening possession of that first OT, and what do? They go for two, and they come out on top 15-7. The final score, the Marauders survived despite being outgained by almost 200 yards total in that ball game, but once again, Flower Mound Marcus just finds a way to win a ball game.
Yeah, Coppell has been suffering. Obviously, in a game like this, they've been suffering on offense. Great job, strategy by Coach Atkinson for going for 2 points in overtime. He knew that would be pretty tough for them to try and overcome, scoring a touchdown and having to go for the 2-point conversion. So I credit him there, but also you look at the stats and you have to say that Marcus is definitely suffering without their running back.
They are, and if you look at the stats, you think to yourself, how in the world did Coppell lose this football game? But credit Marcus's defense for keeping him in it the whole time. And I love the gutsy call from Coach A to go for 2. Ultimately, it didn't matter. I mean, the touchdown itself was fine. But to go ahead and say, we're going to win this one right here and really put the pressure on Coppell to not only have to score, but then have to get a 2-point conversion if they want to send this one to a second overtime, because they knew they weren't at their best. And they've got to adjust. They've got to find a way to get that running game going to help out Nussmeier at quarterback. Now that they had their lead dog go down to injury last week, they've got to figure out a way to get Gainey and company going on the ground moving forward. And they've got a tough test next week against a Flower Mound team, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But that's going to be an outstanding game there for the Battle of the Mound.
Yeah, and you mentioned Tyler Gainey. He actually was handed the ball on every single offensive play for Marcus in that overtime, and we got a chance to catch up with him after his heroic effort in that overtime period and the win for Flower Mound Marcus.
All right, guys, Lincoln Revel, Friday Night Stars here. I'm here with Tyler Gainey from the Marcus Marauders. He had the game-winning touchdown in overtime. So, Tyler, go ahead and take me back through that touchdown. What was going through your mind?
I needed to get to there. I needed to get in, and I did. Just kept driving. Loved my own line. They're amazing people. Just hard blockers, and just really thrust me into the end zone. All credit to them.
The game sort of got off to a slow start in the first half. Y'all started kicking in the second. What was the turning point?
Just halftime. Honestly, the halftime speech by Garrett Nussmeier, really big turning point for us. Got us re-energized and just got us rolling.
And how important is it to have this amazing win going into next week?
Oh, it's amazing. Now we just can roll over Flower Mound. We come in, run it down their throats, just air raid, anything we can do. We need to beat Flower Mound. It's been 2 years. This is our year. Our year right here.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Congrats on the win.
Thank you so much.
Gainey with all the confidence.
Wait for that game.
That's going to be a good game.
Air raid, whatever we got to do.
You can already tell. He wants him to pound it down their throat. He wants to be a big focal point. And I think that's great that they gave it to him there. Every single play at the end of that overtime drive. Clearly, they struggled to run the football the entire game. And then he's the one that ultimately goes ahead and pushes it across the goal line for the victory. And in 2 years, Flower Mound's beaten Marcus in a row. Marcus is used to kind of dominating that rivalry. This is going to be epic next week for the Battle of the Mound.
Do they have a trophy that they play for?
Oh, yeah, they play for the Axe.
The Axe. I didn't know if that was Louisville and Marcus or if that was Marcus and Flower Mound.
No, that's the Axe, bro.
Wow. That's going to be a good football game. And is it the Axe?
It is the Axe.
Is that Louisville and Marcus or is that the Battle of the Mound? It's one of the two.
Now that you're talking about the Axe, I kind of think it's Louisville.
That's what I thought.
It might be Louisville, Marcus.
What do you know, guy?
I think it is.
I mean, I'm wrong.
A hat.
Regardless,
It's a hat.
it's the Battle of the Mound.
A fire extinguisher.
Who gets that mound?
Yeah, I mean, what would you rather have, an axe or a mound?
I'd rather have a mound to my name.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Unless the zombies come.
Tyler Gainey, though,
for the mound.
92 yards on the ground in 10
awesome.
attempts and a touchdown, and most of that coming in overtime.
Now, the Cardiac Cowboys, man, we've been looking for them to find what's going on with them at the quarterback position tonight.
Well, it's too late now. I mean, Guy just pretty much walked it through. They're eliminated. They're Dunskies.
Yeah,
they should have played Kevin Schumann.
Well, I'll take my point back now.
Yeah, just
next.
going to grab that right back.
Yeah, the next 3 weeks. If you want to try and figure that out, go for it.
But they've got 2 really winnable games out of the next 3, so they can build off of this going into next year. They only, had I think it was 7 returning starters from last year. I assume some of those kids will be back next year, and this is still time you can learn stuff for next year and build off of it. So it's all good.
Yeah, and talking about the Battle of the Mound, let's go ahead and look at Flower Mound tonight. They fall on the road to Hebron, and they're going to have to rebound. The Jags are going to have to kind of bounce back because Hebron comes up big in that final score, and that's kind of something that was a little bit surprising for some of us. I think, did all of us pick Flower Mound?
I think we clean slate.
All 4 of us.
I think we were all looking at
Mound.
Flower Mound's offense and saying that they'll probably be able to outscore Hebron, especially with how really poor they looked offensively last week against Marcus, and it was a complete role reversal. It was Hebron's defense that came to play, and their offense also, putting up nearly 500 yards of total offense. Hebron, maybe their best performance of the season tonight.
Yeah, and they do really kind of everything that we thought this Hebron squad would do at the start of the season. We kind of saw them falter multiple occasions, including last week to Flower Mound Marcus. But just a disappointing day for Flower Mound. But like you said, they've got to get right quick because that Flower Mound Marcus squad is on the horizon. Frisco Lone Star and the Colony. We talked about this game at length earlier. We're going to hit that final score one more time. Frisco Lone Star comes out on top, stays number one, at least for this week, 41-38, the final score, in really a classic football game. And I kind of wanted to highlight this. No turnovers for the Colony, 343 yards passing, but really no rushing, or no ground attack for that Colony ball club. Is that something significant moving forward if you're the Cougars?
Well, I think it was significant in the important time of this game when it was 3rd and 1. I think they tried to get it done on the ground. They couldn't, and then they got stopped on 4th down. I think actually got stopped in their own backfield again. But you got to have more balance in that.
You have to have some more balance in that. But then again,
around,
against Lone Star, I mean, they're a team that's extremely difficult to run the football against.
Sure.
So you go to what's working, and you've got skilled players on the outside, and the Colony was able to move the football through the air. But you're 100% right. You know, there comes a point where, hey, we need a yard. We need to be able to run the football. And they weren't able to do so.
Yeah.
And Bogdan on the ground for Lone Star counteracts that with 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. Big night for Bogdan running the football for the Rangers in what is a slight but significant win over the Colony this week. Do want to go to Allen and Jesuit. Of course, Allen at home taking down Jesuit in what was a close football game, at least at the beginning, but then Allen in that second quarter broke things open. And do we want to get Zach riled up again about Allen?
No.
No?
I won't comment. It's fine.
You won't comment on it, but there are a ton of yards back and forth.
Go ahead, take it away, guy. Heck, come on, take it away.
No, I think we know about that game. I mean,
Allen's going to Allen.
Allen's going to Allen. They're going to do what they do at home, and Raylan Sharp was really efficient, complete 70% of his passes, and did on the ground as well.
Well, 363 yards total and 3 touchdowns for Raylan Sharp, and we got a chance to catch up with the starting quarterback for Allen after the win.
So this is Gavin Dunaway with Whataburger Friday Night Stars, who have Raylan Sharp, head quarterback for the Allen Eagles now. Great game. I mean, you have over 350 yards passing. Pretty much an amazing game for you. Kind of talk about what the biggest keys for you going into this game, you know, how you focus and how you prepare for this game?
Just preparation, you know, watching film, figure out what they did. You know, they're a team that's very disciplined. You know, we knew that coming in. You know, they run a lot of different schemes. So, you know, I had to just study, you know, take in what Coach told me, you know, and that's what they did today. You know, we have the athletes, so I know that, you know, just get them the ball.
Absolutely, and also kind of another thing. I mean, y'all come and played out really good in the second half. Not only in just the first, you know, y'all came and played lights out. What was something you focused on personally coming out in the second half that you know you wanted to work on and make sure y'all ran lights out?
Just be more efficient. That's, you know, being communication. That's what we've been trying to work on in practice. You know, we missed some calls. You know, we play in a loud stadium, so, you know, you don't always get the calls. So we've been focusing more on communication. You know, we just got to keep working on that. We've missed some things today, but, you know, it happens.
Absolutely. That's Raylan Sharp. I'm Gavin Dunaway. Thanks for joining us on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Thanks again, boss. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Gavin and Raylan Sharp. Calm, cool, and collected. A impressive game for the quarterback for the Allen Eagles as they come out on top again. And we heard it in the pregame, in the kickoff show. If you're Allen, you're looking for state titles. Nobody's going to remember you if you're not with a state without a banner raised at Allen. And they are on a mission right now. 58-33, a pretty emphatic win. 27 points in the second quarter.
Jeez.
That's pretty impressive.
That's how you go ahead and put the game to bed.
Yeah. And, you look at it, and Jesuit came down, kicked the field goal. It was 7-3 after Allen scored on the opening possession. You looked at Jesuit saying, okay, we can move the ball. And they definitely did with the amount of yards that they put up. But that was really the end of the road.
No, and they did some of the things that we expected with E.J. Smith as a receiver. A couple of touchdowns through the air, but ultimately just wasn't quite enough as Jesuits' defense unable to stop Raylan Sharp in an outstanding offense there for Allen.
Yeah, I want to talk a bit as far as the standings in this division. You look at
tell me about them.
Allen's obviously going to take it away.
14 straight.
Jesuit is going to be one of those teams that's at the top. Prosper as well.
And Plano.
Yeah, and Plano. Yeah, and so
we've lost one district game.
Yeah, somewhere in there you're going to fit in.
Give Plano some love.
love to Plano
and
right
Plano
there.
You know what? We
that
might be
win.
talking about Plano beating Prosper soon. Huh? How about that?
Is that the last week
Talk
of the
about
season?
Prosper and Allen.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Plano Prosper. Let's talk about Plano coming for that number 2 spot.
Well, okay.
Is Kyron Cumbie on that squad this year?
No,
Tylen Hines
he's
is,
at,
baby.
Kyron's at Illinois.
Plano's a better
I know.
offense than they were last year.
You think so?
They were all Kyron Cumbie. Now they've
That's
got multiple
true.
They've got
weapons.
some
That's
weapons.
true.
That's
I think
kind of an interesting thought.
Defense isn't as good though. So you get the yin and the yang.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Kinda what we get with you as well.
Jesuit is a team that can go far in the playoffs.
How about
Just say
Jesuit
that.
and Plano? I think next week.
Think so?
Plano's going to win.
Jesuit. How about this for
get out,
Jesuit?
man.
I mean, you play Prosper, Allen, and Plano, which are the top 3 teams in the division right now, back to back to back weeks. Now, Jesuit can kind of put themselves into that top 3 category with a win over Plano next week. But that's a very good point, Zach. I mean, if Plano comes out with a win, then you're looking at Plano as the number 3 squad. Then you're looking, maybe looking ahead to that Prosper Plano game. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean,
Well, and they
there's a
finally
little
beat
bit of
McKinney.
joking in what you're saying. Like, there's a little bit of
No, but they've
hint of
put
joke,
themselves in that
but they
conversation.
have. It's there. No, it is.
Hey,
that
come on.
conversation
Oh, heck,
needs to
come
be had.
on. The conversation needs to be had. Thank you, Kyle.
They're there. They have one
You're
district
going to talk
loss.
about Oliver Towns. How you going to, you're going to...
I'm going to put it. Let's put it like
just
this.
because they're my alma mater.
No.
I'm out of the
Let's talk a little football here.
He's
So-
salty because it's Lincoln's not in the playoff hunt.
Lincoln
True
has
indeed.
a chance.
True indeed. But I will say this: Plano is going to lose all those games for sure.
Do you think they'll lose to both Jesuit and Prosper?
Yes.
There's a chance.
Yes.
You can't
They
say
are
for
at
certain
Jesuit.
that's going to happen.
Well,
I think Jesuit will be favored in the game, but I think they got a chance to go on the road and beat Jesuit next week.
Or Jesuit and or. Which one are you going
I
with?
think they have a chance to win both games.
And they absolutely do. I mean, Prosper didn't look like world beaters tonight against McKinney Boyd.
They were up
who is
6-3
not a good
over
ball game.
Boyd, who, along with Plano West, are clearly the 2 bottom teams in this district.
Now,
Okay.
Plano
McKinney
East
hasn't
isn't
been as good as we
necessarily
thought.
as good as we thought they would be. And Plano East still put up 20 points against Plano tonight.
Yeah, well, East also did beat West, but yes, you're right. Plano's defense is their weakness, but only 20 points. Hey,
well, the problem with Plano is they're going to end up going D1 in the playoffs.
yeah, because the school's so big.
Right.
I'm not
And-
saying
and
they're gonna do
Jesuit and
anything in
Prosper are gonna go
playoffs.
D2.
They haven't won a playoff game since I graduated.
Well, okay, slight flex there to his class.
Isn't that interesting to
Nah,
think
not
about?
really. My class wasn't that great.
Isn't that interesting to think about the just 2 weeks ago, or I guess it would be 3 weeks due to the bye week, we were talking about Plano potentially losing to Plano West, and now we're talking about them being the number 2 team if they can come out on top, being the number 2 team in that tough district.
Extremely impressed with Oliver Towns. Oliver Towns has changed my opinion on Plano completely. I think they've got legitimate quarterback play.
Okay. Well, there you go. At least you've got some of that.
And if you've got a quarterback, you got a chance. And much like the Colony, their defense is going to be their Achilles heel for Plano. But I haven't seen anything from Jesuit other than their big win over Prosper that makes me think Jesuit's a world beater. They didn't look like it tonight, did they? Exactly. Everyone thinks they're going to go in there and play with Allen. They didn't. And Prosper was in a dogfight for 3 quarters with McKinney Boyd. I don't know why you look at Plano and say, oh, they have no chance to knock off Prosper and Jesuit. I think they do.
There's always a chance with at least that district in general. But I do want to kind of you said something in there. You didn't think they would play with Allen in terms of Jesuit. No, they didn't necessarily play with Allen, but who's going to be the best player on the field, Jesuit, Plano?
EJ.
Exactly.
But when is EJ not the best player on the field?
The problem isn't EJ.
No.
It's the surrounding cast.
Well, today he only had 10 carries for 23
Rance Hallman
yards.
or Oliver Towns? Who you
But he
taking?
got done as a receiver.
Oliver Towns.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I put a lot of weight in your quarterback.
Well, and the problem with Rance Holman tonight was he went 25 for 45 or something like that passing. So while he put up 250 yards, he also only completed 50.
I also think Plano's got the better receivers with Chambers and Williams.
Also, Jesuit put more points up on Allen today than Cedar Hill did, than Coppell did, than Plano did, than McKinney did, than actually anybody else on the entire Allen schedule. They were the only team to surpass the 30-point mark against Allen.
We got
this
a big game next week, Plano at Jesuit in 9-6A. It's fun.
That's a pick'em game now, by the way.
Okay.
All right.
I want to see you pick Plano next week.
I'm going to be picking Plano, of course. I'm not going to pick against my alma mater.
You picked against them against Allen.
Okay, who is ever going?
He is
if
so
you ever
defeated
pick
by
against
Allen.
Allen, you
I
know
know.
you don't do that.
I
And
know.
that wasn't even a pick'em game.
No, it wasn't. I'm making conversation. Anyways, moving forward, we're going to stick with 6A here. Go to Keller and Denton Guyer really quickly. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Denton Guyer comes out on top emphatically, 42-10, 493 yards of total offense compared to just 126. Is the defense for Denton Guyer a little bit unsung over the course of this season so far?
I think so.
They're obviously a lot better than people have given them credit for.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's for sure. But Seth Metter is also. And
Yeah, he's awesome.
And there are a lot of wide receivers in the city. Mims, Jackson Smith have gotten a lot of love, but Seth Metter, man, is putting together some pretty good games. 116 yards today, a touch, and so I think Seth Metter needs to get a little bit of this Friday Night Stars love as well.
Well, and that Guyer defense has some dudes like Grant Mahone, the defensive lineman going to Okie State.
State, yep.
He was one of our FNS Next 25 guys. And then a guy that's on the rise is Deuce Harmon, who's going to be one of the better corners in his class. I think he's a 2022 kid. And his older brother is Devion Harmon, who was the stud B-baller for them the last couple
and
years.
he played
at
wide
Oklahoma.
receiver and then eventually just focused on basketball there at Guyer.
And they look identical in the face. So, yeah, they're both good athletes, and, the next Harmon's coming through Guyer.
And Guyer always plays solid at linebacker. You know, they don't have a lot of guys that'll stick out and name brand-wise, but they've always got solid linebacker play.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's
Division I, Division II.
Guyer's going D2.
Yeah, they're
D2.
most likely.
And they got a chance at D2.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
No,
I think
they
they
do.
have a significant chance at D2.
So when we say D2, we know who's in D2, and the matchup is obviously.
We don't know yet. We're just, at this point, it's all projecting as far as 6A goes. Now, 5A through 1A, we do know because there's already the pre-split before the season even starts.
Yeah.
So, but right now, due to Guyer's enrollment and kind of how that thing's shaking out in that district, you can kind of slot them as what would be the number 1 seed in the D2 part for their district in 6A.
So,
So,
with that being said, I do want to go back to the District of Doom because I think two of the best games that we saw tonight were out of District 7, 6A, and that let's start with Cedar Hill and Mansfield Lakeridge. Lakeridge with their back against the wall, trying to really find a rhythm in that district and needed a big-time win. They didn't get it because Cedar Hill comes back in the fourth quarter, despite Lakeridge taking a fourth-quarter lead, and with $1:21 left up on the clock, Cedar Hill comes out on top. 28-24 is the final.
yeah, well, the one thing I'll say.
I was waiting on Heckman to take that
Well,
one.
we talked about this one earlier, but I didn't get to say this part, was Caden Salter didn't have. I mean, he was effective from a completion percentage, but as far as making plays, I mean, had 2 picks, but the one big touchdown came there at the end that ended up being the game winner when he threw it to Quinn Bright for, what did you say it was earlier, like 70-something
Yeah,
yards?
63.
63.
Yeah, when
so,
Cedar Hill needed it,
So when he
they
needed to
came
make
up
a
with the big
play, he settled it and made it happen. So, shouts to Mr. Salter.
And gutty effort by Lakeridge. I mean, a
For
game
sure.
that they had to have to stay alive within the district for a playoff spot. Now, I think South Grand Prairie's loss opens the door a little bit. Now they dropped to 3-1 within district play. I think you got Summit, who's also 3-1. Cedar Hill and DeSoto remain unbeaten in district play, if I have that correct. So for Lakeridge, certainly, they've got to win out if they want a chance to get in. But I think that they had a gutsy effort, and Keelan Johnson getting back out there, who's kind of been quiet for them a little bit with Terrence Durow stepping up and being the lead dog so far to this point in the year. But Keelan Johnson, 8 catches, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Good to get him going for Lakeridge.
Yeah, got to circle November 7th, 7 p.m. DeSoto, Cedar Hill. That's going to be a big game. And so will they be excuse me,
That's
will
that
they be
Thursday
playing
game, right?
Will they
Always
be
is.
playing for the division? Could be for district championship. Could be.
Cedar Hill's got to continue winning,
Well,
yeah.
And that's always a big game. I
No
try
doubt.
to make that's like a pilgrimage for me. I'm a big Cedar Hill guy. But this year could be the biggest it's been in about 3 or 4 years. And the way it's, if everything goes right, the rest of the district here in the next couple of weeks, that could be a big one.
Well, Cedar
be a
Hill
district
Could be a
championship
district
game.
championship.
Well,
And it has been, but both teams have dudes right now. It could be a fun one. And
Well,
I
if
know
you look
love
at it,
DeSoto.
the next test for Cedar Hill is going to be South Grand Prairie. Then they have Mansfield, and then the DeSoto game.
And SGP, the other game we wanted to look at. And Summit, holds on to get that victory tonight. A big win for Summit.
Let's go into that one because Summit does take down SGP on the road. I mean, this is an SGP squad that going into today had the momentum, whereas Summit was kind of hit on the chin last week against Cedar Hill. But the Jags come back with an impressive win, a clean game for both sides. No turnovers between either side. Dual threat attack. You look at the balance on both the air attack and then on the ground as well. But overall, just a big win for the Summit Jags in this one.
I wish we had an injury report. We would have known that Drake Logan was going to be hurt.
That would have been nice.
That would have been nice. That would have I wouldn't have picked them for sure in this one. But Mansfield Summit is, look, they're a team that we said, look, they hadn't played a lot of competition besides Mesquite Poteet, but Mesquite Poteet didn't have their Seth McGowan at that time. But still, I mean, this is a big win for Summit versus South Grand Prairie. And SGP, you expected their defense to hold it down a little bit more than what they did, but I mean, quality win for Summit, man.
Couple other scores of note. Wiley holds out on Rowlett 14-13 as the Pirates get the win in that one. And then Euless Trinity comes out on top as you see the Wiley score there. Just a $166.
Nikita Whitlock was out there. There's the Wiley defense.
Yeah.
Like, good Lord.
Yeah, so Wiley and that defense staying strong at Johnson Stadium.
It's ugly, man.
That is not a win that you would expect.
9 passing yards and you win a football game. That's crazy.
It's that 10-6A, man. It
is nuts.
Very bipolar over there.
Nuts. And then one other score that we wanted to hit, Trinity comes out on top of Weatherford. They shut them out in the first half, and Euless Trinity wins it 41-20. 452 yards of total offense, 405 on the ground. That's an impressive showing from that ground attack from the Trojans.
Yeah. That is an impressive ground. 405 yards. I mean, literally.
That's a ton of rushing yards.
Well, that's more rushing yards than a lot of teams have right now, period. So 405 yards. I mean, they basically just took all of the air out of the kangaroos. But that says going to be some kangaroo meat being served up tonight. I didn't mean it like that. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's messed up, dude.
Well, we always say Allen
Peter's
being
going to get after you. We don't want Peter on our back.
Well, I don't want
Trinity
any parts of that.
Trinity. I mean, this is what they do well.
Yeah, and Trinity forcing 2 turnovers. Their defense came to play. And a nice bounce-back win for Trinity over Holtum after last week's game. Holtum over Trinity.
Little victory.
Saying Holtum like an English accent. So that's so interesting. I mean, it sounds almost like a soccer team. But yeah, so another big bounce-back win. And Weatherford with their first district loss of the season, I believe.
Yep.
So that's a significant win for Trinity to kind of help them continue to control
405 yards on the ground. That's eating a lot of clock, gentlemen. So, Weatherford had no chance to come back in this game, period.
And one more notable game that we do want to take a look at, Frisco falls for the first time this season.
Wow, Denison
comes out on top, 10-7. The final
How about
score.
Frisco, a team that was extremely high-powered when it came through the air, 10 yards passing. Wow, that is shocking. 16 penalties, though, for 100 yards. Kind of bit yourself.
Yeah, a little bit. That's going to be something to kind of look for early.
4 turnovers by Denison. Ugly game, and the Raccoons still lose it.
6 total
I don't know. Arlington Martin played in 2 games.
Well, do we have a player box score by chance? I'm curious what Jadarian Price did for Denison. He's the number 1 player in this class for the 2022 class, I believe.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I don't think
Denison
we have
has
a box score individually, but yeah, that's a big win for Denison overall. Let's take a look at our 6A final scores from across the area. Some significant ones that we definitely want to hit. Arlington Bowie stays hot, 55-3 over Trimble Tech. Then you've got Plano West falling again as McKinney comes out on top. The Lions take that one, 29-14. I think they will. I really
may
do.
Not be this season.
It might not be this year, though.
Man.
Prosper 29-3, bouncing back over McKinney Boyd. Saxe 24-21. They had to hold on late against North Garland, and then Duncanville, despite only being up, I believe 14-0 at halftime, able to pull away in that second half.
Yeah, I don't know who thought that was a highlighted game, but
and shout out to Arlington Bowie getting a big win tonight after losing their teammate Anthony Strather to unfortunate event yesterday afternoon. So. Shouts out to the Volunteers football program.
Yeah, weren't sure if they were going to play
yeah.
tonight.
Well, our condolences to them, and that's a good football program.
And they did come back and get a win for him as well. So that's something of note. But DeSoto taking down Grand Prairie 54-7. Mansfield with a big win over Waxahachie 56-30.
How about that Mesquite Tyler Lee game?
Yeah,
that's a playoff game.
You think so?
Yeah, the winner of that's getting the 4th spot in that district.
Well,
so
Mesquite comes out on top.
Yep.
And then looking at Rockwall, the offense is back, boys. I mean, Jackson Smith is healthy and ready to
just
go.
a little bit, right?
No doubt about
What about
that.
Haltom? 12-28. They lose to Abilene after last week beating you with
you beat
Trinity.
Trinity.
Come on. You'll back that up with a victory. You don't
and
beat
it's a down year for Abilene, man.
It's been a down.
They've been partying all week in
Yes.
Haltom.
Since the Sims cousins left, it's been kind of down.
By the way, Jadarian Price, 18 carries, 49 yards.
Okay.
That's all he did.
Okay.
He also had a catch for 5 yards.
That's a long bus ride back, by the way, for Haltom from Abilene after that loss.
And they were the hot team last year. They're 3-3 this year now. And
Well, they were the
just a
hot team
little
going into this
inconsistent.
week.
Yeah, after
They
the
were.
upset over Trinity.
Yeah.
And Rockwall Heath, I mean, look, I've said it. I think Longview's the best home field advantage in the state of Texas. Heath, an offense, though, that's put up a lot of points, and Longview just completely dismantles them.
Quickly, we'll move on to 5A in our final score slate. Colleyville Heritage, we mentioned their 84-point outburst earlier. Grapevine on the other side, 55-17. Those two offenses going to collide here in the next couple of weeks. McKinney North with a big win over West Mesquite in that district, and Mesquite Poteet continues to stay undefeated with Seth McGowan back in that lineup. 51-10, their final score in that one. Moving on to the next 5A page. Lovejoy continues their offensive attack. That defense for Ennis continues to impress.
Red Oak and
I was about to say
Timberview.
Red Oak, another big 70-point outburst. Lancaster and Highland Park roll. Close game. How about Royce City?
Yeah, big win over
3-point win
Greenville.
Over Greenville, and the Mansfield Legacy, 35-7.
And what might be the winner for 4th place spot in that district.
playoff.
So that's
Yeah.
big.
How about your Scotties? Any insight on what happened with HP?
Well,
Only
I don't know. They
56
traveled
points.
over the Pleasant Grove Stadium and took care of business. So I'm going to assume everything went smooth.
That game was at Pleasant Grove Stadium?
It was.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yep.
Moving on to the 1 to 4A and private schools around the area. You've got Argyle with a high-scoring win over Paris. Midlothian Heritage, another high-scoring ball game, 75-42. Kennedale with a 49-0 win. You mentioned Bishop Dunn earlier in the show, 63-7 over John Paul II. And Parish Episcopal, 54-14.
Taking care of business.
They were up big in that ball game early, which was pretty impressive overall. So there's our scores from around Friday night of Week 8 of Texas high school football. As we wrap up things from the Star in Frisco. Quickly, Zach Wolchuk, who's your star of the night?
Oh, man. My star of the night, the Plano Wildcats.
Of course.
Tylen
That's a
Hines,
homer pick.
outstanding, 250-plus yards rushing. Anytime you beat East guys, you're going to get some homer love from me.
Yeah, they did just
Big
that. Hetla, star of the night.
God, I'm trying to find somebody.
Okay, Guy, star of the night.
Okay, my star actually played last night. Jalen Thibodeau for Dallas Madison threw for 250-plus yards, 5 touchdowns, big win. They get Malakoff next week, and will probably be a district championship game for 6-3A D1. Watch out. Shout out to Coach Brian, my buddy over there, the wide receiver
There
coach.
you go.
Madison's got something going on.
All right, well, they got a big win last night. Hetla, are you
Heckma
ready
hates
now?
to hear that. How about Lincoln?
Yeah. Lincoln!
There it
Thank you,
is.
Lincoln. There it is. Lincoln.
Gosh.
The alma mater gets the
Man,
win.
he'd leave without his head if it weren't for me. This guy,
You
man.
guys are so cute. My Friday night star is Mr. Guy Frazier for filling in for Eric Chiafalo. My other star is also Eric Chiafalo for having to deal with some of the stuff that he had to deal with today. We're going to get him back next week, though,
I
hopefully.
wonder if he's
so.
ever heard of Wally Pip.
No.
Oh,
I don't think
Guy's
Guy wants
not
to stay
coming
off the
back.
streets.
Guy's
Yeah,
not coming back.
Guy's done. He's not.
Well, I'm curious about my Melissa game with all the news that surrounded
Oh,
that.
yeah, this Salina and Melissa game. We'll have to put that up on
Oh, my
our
goodness.
website. So, That is going to do it here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Week 8 of Texas high school football is in the books. Be sure to stay up to date all week long on our social media channels on Twitter, Friday_Stars. You can find us on Instagram at the same handle. On Facebook, like our page, Friday Night Stars. And continue to watch us all year long. We're back next week. It's week 9 of Texas high school football, live from the Star in Frisco. Do want to thank everybody involved in this Game On Sports broadcast. For Zach Wolchuk, Heckma Harrison, and Guy Frazier. For Chris Beam, Matt Kent, Jeremy, and Tyler, and Chance, all in the control room. I'm Kyle Yeomans, once again saying so long from the Star in Frisco. We'll see you next week, and God bless.